Welcome to the Swolenormous PROCAST with your host, Papa Swolio.
Ooh, I like it when it gets deep like that.
It's like a whale gorilla. We've just evolved into gorilla whales now. We're not even.
So what were you just saying about Instagram, that they're just fucking copying people?
Yeah, I was just because I was just trying to do a quick boomerang and be like, hey, doing procast, excited, whatever. And I looked at the text settings with like the behind the shit. And you know how TikTok does the overlays for thumbnails, so you can like make it look all whatever, and they give you like 5 or 6 options. Instagram copied that like almost verbatim. So now it's not just like for like when you add text, you know how sometimes if you can't see it on the background, you can just add a background or a half opacity background. Well, now it looks exactly like those graphic overlays for TikTok's thumbnails. Like they got different designs, like paint strokes. They've got stuff behind it, lines. I'm just like,
you mean for text or for a thumbnail?
Well, it's for your stories, but they took that thumbnail feature and just added it to stories. I'll show you really quick if you can see this on camera. So you see like that was like one of the options was like that sideways thing. And then they have like, ones with little lines around. And I'm just like, that's like TikTok literally just added that, 30 days ago?
You know what we were talking about? There's like this, I thought that Instagram, I mentioned this before, I think Instagram was waiting too long to copy TikTok. I'm surprised they waited so long. And I don't know if it's too late, because remember when Instagram didn't Instagram literally copied Snapchat. They didn't copy a feature. They're like, okay, Snapchat, we're just going to make you and put it in our app already. So they literally copied, but then how do you copy TikTok? I still don't understand why Instagram hasn't flipped that switch, as if it's that simple, but made the profile dynamic.
Yeah.
Why is it not dynamic with that little like boomerang that TikTok was doing? I wonder if some things have copyright or have trademarks or patents, and some
like
things
actual,
don't. Because they must. And I wonder why some companies are able in some industries to just blatantly copy. I guess some things maybe that are trademarked but are just not worth going after. It's too much money. It's too late. What are you going to do?
Right.
Because and what would be a trademark or an international trademark, as opposed to because you can, maybe it's not a 3-second boomerang for the dynamic. Maybe you make it 5 seconds or a split second. What's the regulation, or what do you actually,
I don't know. It could be both a function and maybe also like a technology, like server issue too, because that takes up a lot of space, and they already have, a very dynamic platform in general. So it's like, I wish they would do something that is like visually stimulating with the profile. I 100% agree. And when it comes to like the copying shit, I'm just like, what they should have done, this is my personal opinion, but I think stories was and is already, in my opinion, like a unique feature to Instagram. Like it's 15 seconds at a time. If you want to do quote unquote longer form, you can do up to 4 15-second segments. Like they already had text features in it. They already had the ability to do music. What they should have done is just, instead of making that hidden behind little circles randomly in the platform, just make that the core interface of the platform, because that's what 80 to 90% of people were spending their time on Instagram anyways, was in people's stories. So why not just like, instead of coming up with a new brand, like you said it before, don't make an excuse and call it branding, or make the excuse that it's branding. That's why, like, no, don't call it Reels. Now it's just Instagram stories, or just Instagram. And now stories as a feature is just like, hey, imagine full screen. I open Instagram app, but instead of seeing a timeline, I see what I see if I were to click stories. That should be the experience, because TikTok had the vertical flow. Imagine if Instagram was the same thing, just sideways.
Reels is terrible. That's a terrible name, bro.
So bad.
It's so stupid. You have stories, then you have Reels, then you have IGTV that has its separate app for whatever fucking reason. It makes me wonder, how could you possibly make those fundamental errors from the start? I wonder, they obviously wanted to create something separate.
Yeah.
Which is why they had a separate app. I almost feel like, because it's easy to say from a standpoint of you or me, saying, how come they just didn't implement that as a feature?
Right.
I can't even imagine what kind of coding goes into this shit to make it seamless. Yep. Can you imagine? That's literally it's literally what they did. It's a separate app. So they need new servers. People are going to be uploading thousands of gigabytes a second.
Yep.
So how do you port that just right into Instagram?
Yep.
It's interesting how Facebook has literally made a WeChat just in 5 or 6 parts.
Yeah.
Well, since we can't do a WeChat because we'll get flagged by the for having a monopoly, we'll just have 6 or 7 different things. We'll have Messenger, we'll have WhatsApp, we'll have Facebook, we'll have Instagram, we'll have IGTV.
I was just saying, do you have the updated version of that on DMs now? So DMs is essentially Facebook Messenger now on Instagram.
I told you they would do that. Remember, I told you they're combining. Remember, I told you they're going to combine. Wait,
did you say it on the Procast?
I said it so many times. We've talked about it.
Yeah.
I've said it. We've talked about that. Remember, I said it. If Messenger just went into DMs and they just combine them, and then slowly they've been doing it when you're on Facebook on desktop, you can get your Instagram DMs there. It's just unusable.
Which honestly would also not only change social, but it would kind of change like email list building and like messaging just in general. Because imagine if you could control that, kind of like what you're doing with Community and some of these other messaging apps. Like imagine if people could subscribe to that in the back end of Instagram, because now it's like a messaging feature almost.
So what did you say was Messenger, or was like, what did they do?
So they gave me an update randomly one day, and it was like DMs is now Messenger. So now the icon in the top left corner, if it focuses,
is it Messenger?
It's literally Messenger. And like, so if I pull up your and I's chat,
no, I still have. Well, I still see the arrow. I still see the email.
Bro,
I fucking knew it.
you can react with like any emoji. You can, bro. It's like it's
know what that means?
It's very intuitive.
You know what that means?
What's up?
Wait, does that mean? Can you what adds a Messenger? Is that going to show up there?
Say that one more time.
Well, running ads on Messenger, is that something that will show up in there?
I mean, they already use Messenger placements on Facebook ads. So
I know I don't use them because they're fucking horrific.
Yeah, they don't. I was actually just talking. They
don't work.
Yeah, they literally don't. And the reason why is because they did, in my opinion, they did add post types too late, and they did too many of them. So you literally have like more ways to post ads, like as a post type, quote unquote, than you originally did of posting forward facing on Facebook. So first of all, it was like getting advertisers to use Facebook ads. Then once you got in there and you gave them 72 different options or whatever to, it's like, I don't even have this many options to post on Facebook, which means that the experience for the user is going to be different because they're not used to consuming all of that type of content naturally, behaviorally. So then when they see an ad like that, they're like, this is, so now it's like the intelligence and the experience is catching up. And now we're finally seeing like, okay, some of these ads are starting to work, but Audience Network, fucking Messenger shit doesn't work. Like there's so many places.
I've tried them. Dude, I'm sorry. I was looking at my code generator because I have to log into Facebook. Dude, every single day I've been logged out of everything.
Yep.
When I say everything, I mean thing.
Dark mode going off again. That happened to me again this morning.
I just had to log in. It's like, save your browser. Yes, save my fucking browser. And code generator. And I can't go into my Google code. I'm like, oh God, wrong one. I have to go into the Facebook app and go down to the settings and find the settings.
There's got to be something happening behind the scenes with like I
Google.
I can't even fathom AWS, Google, like all of that because like with everything rolling out technology wise, there's just been so many like unnecessary and unwarranted like glitches all over the internet, like over the past 2 or 3 months. It's been crazy.
If there's a security breach, they could just be constantly resetting for that reason.
It could be.
If there's like a cyber attack, they might just be. Something might get penetrated, so boom, it's like an automatic, an automatic ping, it'll just kick you out because it's safer to piss people off. Like, fuck, I gotta log in. You're not gonna stop using Google because they got kicked out from a password.
Right.
Yep. What am I gonna do? Undo? I'm gonna get rid of G Suite, get rid of everything, my email.
Remember when we first met and everybody was like talking about how like Facebook and Google were eventually going to go away and not be big anymore and like the staples, and the number one comment you said is, okay, but how are you going to log into the fucking internet?
Google is the internet. That's why YouTube is just as much as that's why there's no internet aside from that. Facebook is cool. oh, but your Facebook presence, groups is the only thing keeping people on Facebook.
Yeah.
It's the only thing. You have your feed, but it's the groups. And that has been that I'm surprised that they're not. I've been seeing billboards too. I've seen billboards for Facebook groups. Yeah. Remember? Oh, when I was there and I looked.
Yeah. There was one. There was like a dog lovers group or something like that. Like, right. I mean, these aren't small. It's like the whole side of a building.
The craziest thing is that they're adding things like IGTV. And they're not just breaking off that aspect of Facebook and calling it groups, or just changing Facebook. Just call it groups.
Yeah, imagine if they would have came out. Honestly, if Facebook would have dropped an app called Groups, that would have done better than Reels.
FB groups or Facebook groups, and just have it groups, and just literally, that's what it is.
Yeah,
I don't think they really have to, because it's funny how things come. You know how we were talking yesterday, the day before, about how things come full circle. What I'm doing now is I'm making sure, and I always say this, that's why it's the 7 pillars, the foundation. It's always about going back to right when you think you have it locked down, right when you think, or whenever you're not sure what kind of content to make or what direction, always go back to the beginning. What was the foundation? So a lot of like what I'm doing now is going back to the beginning. And when it comes to, and think about in that sense, how Facebook is going full circle. It started off when I was in college. Facebook launched when I was a sophomore in college. So
did you have access to it like when it was originally?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was one of the earlier colleges to get it. So it was literally, you had to have a college email. So, and that's kind of why I'm able to reference from the beginning of social media. So, and this is before YouTube. This is before YouTube. This is right after the first bubble when Google popped off. So it was only emails. It was only groups. I had the biggest Facebook group on campus. It still exists. It's just, God, it's like ancient.
Yeah.
So,
is that when you were doing all that cool, like, interactive, like,
I was building out the HTML, and this is what, 2003, 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
And it was groups. So it's funny how that started with connection. That's what a Facebook is. A Facebook is the class yearbook.
Yep.
That's what a Facebook is. You look and you see the person's picture and what am I going to be when I'm older? You know, best dressed or class couple or something like that.
Yep.
And now it seems it went through this whole boom and all the other stuff that Facebook and the ad profile and the ad platform, and now it's coming back to groups. Like it's what if they, and that's why they're doing that. They're pivoting, going back to what works. You're connecting people.
Yep.
And as much as you don't like Facebook, as much as there are security, if you have a phone, it's too late. You live in a city, you're already tracked. Unless you're living off grid, you're part of the system. It doesn't matter. My security, if you're living in a city,
they've got you. If you have a computer and iPhone, they've got you.
Bro, if you're in a city, they got you. You can live as close to nature. You can be as minimalist as possible. I don't even have a phone. If you're in the city, you're physically trapped. You're there. Unless you're in the jungle or in the woods, there's no need to even think about being off grid, right?
Right.
At least for your mental health, you can. So whatever. That being aside, Facebook is just the best functioning app.
Yeah.
In terms of an app, Instagram goes down all the time.
Yep.
In terms of other apps, all those Instagram down, hashtag Instagram down, the past year, it's probably been down 3 or 4 times, as if that's a massive number out of, but,
and they have a lot of half-baked features, like, so it goes down a lot, and
you can't
features that could be cool.
Streaming live, it doesn't rotate. You can't stream live. I can't split it with Restream. That's why I stopped streaming on Instagram, because I have this phone right here and you're hearing my audio. You're missing the experience. So I stopped streaming live on Instagram. I don't even think about going live on Instagram anymore.
Right. I remember somebody on the Daily Swole asked you that the other day. They were like, what? They're like, showing up for the first time or whatever. Why don't you do Instagram? And literally, like, you're like, fuck no, I'm not doing Instagram.
It's frustrating.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's just frustrating being almost betrayed by every possibility to have it be an ultimate app. They just keep on not updating things. But anyway, it's going back to what I was saying before, the Facebook, going back to groups, connecting people. If they just go back to, I just feel like they've missed that with Instagram. They're trying to do everything and they keep on sub-branding it. Why are you going to try to brand something called Reels? Again, Instagram stories is killer. Make it stories, have the feed be the option, not the feed be the default.
Mm-hmm.
Get people to do more stories, and then you can make the stories as awesome as TikTok and just make that the main feature. So why is it default to the feed? It should default to the stories. You open TikTok and you're immersed.
Yep.
Okay, you open TikTok and it's right?
All right.
White boy dancing. Fucking watch out. Coming for you. Yeah,
I don't, bro. They could have, and they could have simultaneously, in my opinion, saved IGTV. Because imagine like you just said in what you just explained, open Instagram, your in story feature, whatever, you're going through whatever, and imagine you hit like a longer form video, and all you have to do is turn your phone sideways, and all of a sudden you're in like IGTV mode.
Or there was just a little subtle pulsing like option.
Like in the bottom right or something. You click it, and then it's like.
Because I think they could have done something where you have to shoot it in a certain format where it's going to get to the point where the cameras are so advanced, it'll be able to fill up a screen whether you hold it this way or this way.
Yeah.
All it needs to be is have enough depth, like a GoPro, like a, and all of a sudden
we're close. Some devices have that.
Yeah. Right. Or double camera. So you're filming widescreen and vertically at the same time.
I mean, even what we're on right now kind of does that. The platform, like,
what's really weird? Wait, bro, think about this. Think about this. Your phone, right? Your phone camera is a little circle in the front.
Uh-huh.
Oh, just think about this. How come if you want to film vertically, it's got to be like this versus this? It's a circle. It's like, why can't you just make it do both no matter which way I fucking hold it? Like,
that is an interesting point.
Why does the whole entire rectangle of the phone have to be physically horizontal?
I wonder if it has something to do with like the sensors.
Is there that? Does it fill in stuff digitally and it uses the screen in some? Isn't that weird?
It is kind of weird. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you could have this button where if you want to turn it sideways, it'll show you full screen sideways. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know why they waited so long.
At the end of the day, I just know I don't enjoy Instagram right now. Like it's not fun to consume, or it's also not fun to create. And it's like at some point, I mean, at the end of the day, at some point it's either going to be, am I going to enjoy the publishing and distributing of organic content, or what you and I were talking about, I think it was yesterday, or just get into a lifestyle of creating content, but then using them as just like content and story ads. Like, because at some point people are going to get tired of, okay, when I commit to creating, it's not getting attention, or it is getting attention, but I don't have, cool options on whatever platform I'm using. So it's like every platform has its big downfall right now. Like TikTok, it's exciting to create, but nobody's really getting attention the same way they used to. And they're just doing stuff for like no reason, like analytic wise and all kind of stuff. Instagram, it's like you have, a very similar situation where it's like, okay, I got all these options to create. But again, the first thing you and I said was there's no discoverability. So yeah, sure, add 3 more features, but posting Reels versus IGTV right now, for example, there's no noticeable difference, both on the consumer and creator side. If I'm consuming content and I watch somebody's Reels and then I immediately go and watch one of their IGTV, there's almost no difference in discoverability, in the engagement on that post. Like literally the only thing different is the IGTV goes a little bit longer. Like that's literally it.
It's just funny when you said I go and watch one of your Reels. It just makes me cringe. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Oh, did you post a reel? Did you post that on Reels? No, bro, get out of here.
No, check out my story.
Yeah.
They were successful. It's a beautiful phrase, concept, and idea to create. Here's my story. What is marketing? What is content? It's storytelling. Bro. Here's my story. Just build it, make it better.
It's almost euphoric to think about what it could have been.
Bro, just give people more tools to tell their story. Don't make Reels and IGTV. No, it's a longer story. Let people do a story for as long as they want. No, 15 seconds. No, 1 minute, and then you chop it up. No, you know what? I do understand that, because in the moment, being able to upload a large, hey, let me just record for 15 minutes. It's going to be over, because then you're going to have people that can't over LTE. AT&T is going to be like, fuck you, Apple, or fuck you, Instagram. Like behind the scenes, the CEOs are going to be like, yo, Mark, fuck that feature, bro. We can't handle it. So,
and to your point, to make that like more even like real and understandable to like even just like people who aren't grading at our level, my wife just ran into that problem. We spent almost a week having to reorganize her file infrastructure between iCloud. There was one other one. We paid for like 2 services so she could get all of those TikToks like in a place where she could even just use her phone anymore.
Would you use Dropbox or Drive or?
It was iCloud Drive with OneDrive or something like that. We used a couple different services, and she was able to get off her phone and free up like 20 gigs or I don't know, whatever it was. But it's like everything on your phone shuts down. Now imagine we're starting to have like sort of an advancement in all of these social platforms. So now every platform has multimedia capabilities.
5G. That's why it's 5G, and that's why they're pumping that out, because otherwise you're not gonna be able to. The infrastructure isn't there to catch up with the tech. There's too much tech, and it's slowing things down.
Yep.
You remember at the beginning of the lockdown,
software.
Remember at the beginning of the lockdown, there were a couple days where the internet was just fucking slow.
Yep.
Did you experience that on your end?
It was almost like the first week or two.
I forget what aspect. I don't know if it wasn't YouTube, because YouTube is just, I think it was something like
Zoom got hit really hard.
Oh no, it was my live stream. I got it kicked off and it cut off my stream a couple times.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a couple of days there. You had to restart like 3 or 4 times in a row.
It was like 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
It was a literal period of time of like 3 days where every day when I went live, after the first 10, 15 minutes, it just, the stream broadband or whatever, because I keep the stats down there, just like, just complete fucking plummet.
So in a KD Swolio world, Swolio KD world, we would have.
It is a Swolio KD word, motherfucker. What do you think this is?
We should we should start an app called like Real Mode, and it's like everything the platform should have been. And it's like, but nobody else is allowed to post. It's just Procast and our shit. No, I was playing.
These platforms better. We're not going to use it though.
No, you are a fucking bitch.
Enjoy our videos, you fucking bitch.
Thursday, bitch. It's no, bro. Let's call the app Thursday. It's Thursday, bitch.
Thursday, bitch.
Did you post on Thursday,
bro? My favorite. There are so many viral posts that just never went viral. Remember the Mr. Talk? So underrated, that post.
Yeah.
When I was at your place, it was like, it was like Charlie, like for your page.
For your page.
So underrated. I'm
gonna since you said the word or the phrase "for you" page, I was mentioning this in an article the other day, and people forget that. So we're kind of harping on Instagram even in this episode, right? Oh, I got something in my beard. We're kind of harping on Instagram even in this episode, but if you think about it, there's always something happening behind the scenes. And I don't know if you remember, but Instagram on the Discover page, I don't know if you remember, it was called "For You" at the top. So when you went to the discovery page, it literally said "For You," and that page always updated based off of content that you were consuming on timeline. So what TikTok did, which was really smart, is they looked at a giant and said, hey, that's an underutilized feature. Even though, and they probably had, whatever they did to do their R&D, their industry research, whatever, they were probably like, hey, behaviorally, people are wanting to use that or using that or whatever. So let's just make that our core feature. Then Instagram was probably like, geez, they literally, whatever. And now so back on that like copying piece, it's like, everybody's copying each other. Like who was that artist? Was it Van Gogh or Pablo, whatever, that said, good artists borrow, great artists steal?
Thomas Edison.
Thomas Edison, Bill Clinton, somebody said it.
Well, Thomas Edison did steal. Yeah. Well, everything is building on something else. So you can only copyright. That's why the weird stuff with YouTube, with the copyright infringement, everything is, it's like, man, you can't even, I did a clip on Extra Thirsty. And I showed a Joe Rogan clip for about a minute or something like that. And it got flagged instantly.
Yeah.
And I guess you can't use other people's content, but how come you can use some stuff for comedy? You can take clips from movies. It's just not long enough, or it doesn't flag anything. I mean, obviously if someone has a problem with something, they're going to sue you or
I wonder if,
about something.
I would have to do like deeper research on it, but I wonder if there's like media relationships that bigger media companies and publications can create with like distributors and publishers, so that way they have rights to clip, media and stuff like that for a news show, because some people get away with it, and it feels like the bigger you get and the more connected you are to the right people are the people who are getting away with stuff like that. But nobody who's just like generally creating can, play music in the background, pull clips from stuff and essentially it keeps really creative people at the bottom from honestly reporting on stuff that's happening and communicating in a very relevant way, which creates a bigger separation between people who have connections and resources and people at the bottom. So it's almost like you have to get like creative and resourceful even if you want to story tell outside of your own shit anymore, which is becoming difficult.
You always get those big company names that says flagged by CLR or CMT, and you're like, I have no idea what that is, but they want my ad rev. Yep. They want the $5 they'll get from that fucking video.
Yep. Yeah, that's all it is, bro. Like, where everybody's waking up to the fact that this entire, like, it's almost like everybody's saying it in their subconscious and nobody's just really saying it with words. It's like everybody's like, you're telling me this whole time feature films, radio, it was literally just people sitting in a room saying, here's an idea, here's a camera, and then just that's all it's been this whole time. But you guys made it seem like it. Like, I feel like people are realizing, hey, we can do end-to-end media publishing just as good as you. That in this whole time you've just been stopping us from doing it, or not. We have to be connected. That's what the news is all about.
That's what the news is all about. You have that's why this time period is the best for someone who you can never, dude, for the last 100 years or 200 years, all time, you can't just jump into the news game.
Nope.
Hearst would have or Turner, one of these like big Murdoch would have fucked you in the ass.
I have a whole book about that. Yep.
Kicked it to the curb, son. Now, if you want to have your own news network, all you got to do is report what you report or just comment on it. I mean, that's what I do on Red, White, and Swole. That's what I do with Extra Thirsty. And of course, that's a little bit more smutty. I talk about more fitness stuff, or I go into the gunches of Twitter and all that crap. But it's fun, but at the same time, you can really make a name for yourself with there's nothing. What about sports? Baseball and NBA and stuff are fucking tanking because it went too political and social.
Yep.
They're fucking up their brand. Why don't companies, or why don't big organizations understand this? I saw this outside during, I think it was a couple months ago when the BLM was like, I shouldn't say when it was really peaking. I mean, who knows what the fuck is going on, but when it was really fresh. Right. And then the Boston Red Sox put this massive couple 100-foot long big thing on the outside of their stadium. Yeah. And then a lot of people, there are all these articles because it's like, dude, from a business standpoint, you are literally saying to a large percentage of your audience, like, we're like against you, or we don't. Yeah. Why would you do that from a business standpoint? Everyone's trying to get, and then of course, LeBron James, all these this
it alienates people. So
yeah, but it's not. You're not Jackie Robinson,
right?
You're not. I mean, you're not.
Right.
You're not breaking there's no fucking color barrier, bro. Right? Is there color? I mean, do we have improvements to make? Sure, but when you have a business and you start going that direction,
yeah. The other thing I hate about like these battles and stuff like that is like people are more, and this is just the human race in general. It's one of the things I hate the most. It's probably why it's like you and I said, it's probably why you and I stay connected, because we don't really think and operate like this. But it's like when you're more concerned with being right than you are about actually making change and doing good and all that kind of stuff. Like, okay, instead of like making a stance and debating and throwing a 70-yard, banner across your shit, just start creating more content that's meaningful, like within the organizations. Like, get some personalities, some small media teams, start documenting the players a little bit more, the conversations that they're having and all that kind of stuff, and just show that they're doing good. Instead of saying, show it with a blog, show it with a documentary, and just show how the whole team is just a fucking family. LeBron is doing so much good. Just document more of it. Like, he has foundations he started, he has schools he started. He did that thing with like 3 or 4 other celebrities where it was like, I forget what it was, but essentially it's like I'm just like, show more of what y'all are doing. He's fucking his shit up by
a lot of people, all the videos that I see pop up are just a lot of negativity. Like LeBron James is a fucking hypocrite, just all this fucking shit. And it does overshadow. It either overshadows the stuff that he does well, or maybe authentically it isn't what people thought, and that's a cover. So it can go both ways. And it's just very, very surprising.
You have this lockdown with the Swolenormous brand. You say it all the time. I try to get rid of any vulnerabilities, right? From a messaging standpoint, from a platform standpoint, from a reach standpoint, like whatever. It's like, okay, for example, in LeBron's case, and I'm not deep into all of the political crap because I have to keep at least a 6-inch.
Neither am I. I mean, for the record, I don't know like all the stuff that people are pissed off about. All I know is there's a lot of people. You see, you're even aware of it, that he's gotten so much heat for stuff that he's said and done. Like,
I mean, I'm seeing the news. I'm seeing people. Shut up and play basketball. All that stuff, right? So, so I get that there's real problems and all that kind of stuff. But it's like, okay, imagine if, for example, he had a daily morning show or something like that. Whatever. Imagine if you had the attention of your literal global fans. Like you are one of the most famous people on earth, aside from like Conor McGregor and a couple other people.
How many people would tune into a LeBron James podcast?
And how much control can the news have over you if people are listening to your reporting or your documentation quicker from the original source than they're hearing it from somebody else? You're not vulnerable. You don't have control over like the narrative and I know that's such a cliche, control the narrative, whatever. But it's like that, bro, that is the game.
That's power.
The fact that you have to go to them to debate and prove shows that you don't have the control and power. They should have to come to you on your show and literally, what I'm saying, and be like, hey, so explain to us your stance or your perspective or your whatever on this. Not let me just get blasted in the media I feel like what athletes, what creators, what artists could all do is just realize what people like, the Seth Godins, the Garys, or whatever of the world have been saying for such a long time. Just put more, like Seth Godin still does a daily blog every single morning, like, and puts it like, I love that, short, pithy. It's like whatever. Like, so I'm just like, if artists, athletes, all these people would actually create little media teams around them, or collectively going. It's not like they don't have money, resources, environments, locate tools, whatever. I feel like we would have a decentralized version of what news and media is, because then it'd be coming directly from the sources and not reported by either 15-year-olds who get camera happy and news happy on social media, or these media giants who just want to tarnish people's names and stuff so they can literally, what do they call it? Defacing character, or defecation of, what's it called?
Defamation.
Defamation. That's it.
Slander.
Defecation is like shitting, right?
Defamation.
Shitting on my character. But it's like,
some people are into that shit, bro.
They're just trying to make money, and that's what pisses me off. It's like, you're trying to make money. It's kind of hot in the air. The sun's coming out.
Yeah, there's too much. Well, can you imagine if he had like the King James show,
bro? Everybody would watch it.
And who would not want to be on it?
He'd be bigger than Ellen. Well, Ellen's.
Yeah, he'd be bigger than Joe Rogan's podcast.
Yep.
The first month.
Even if how many times are you going to and from the facility? Well, they're doing their bubble thing now or whatever, but it's like, how often was he going to and from the practice facilities and the training facilities and physical therapy, all that kind of stuff, whatever. It's like, you could have had a car show, just had people, anything.
I don't know. He probably does. Fuck yeah.
He could.
I don't follow him at all.
Right.
He might.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's honestly, that's part of like what
you could have a whole
the other day.
You could have a whole vlog, a whole this, and just here, it would be done for you. But his example is a little bit different too, because when you're that famous, you don't have to wait. You don't have to do anything. You can do it whenever you want, almost. Right. He could play basketball for 10 more years, then do it,
and it would be successful overnight.
It would be huge, right? It would be huge no matter what. But for example, people like Charles Barkley and Shaq, they've been brilliant at not just having businesses, but creating their brand or their awareness. A lot of people hate the word brand, but it's just people knowing who you are and knowing your shit. That's all it is. And people associating a logo or an image or a thought or a concept to you and your style, right? You know, if you're just a person, it's okay, but people have to associate this with this person. So Charles Barkley did that, and he hasn't been in basketball for a long time, and he got into this before the social media really popped off. He was doing TNT and speaking, but that's why a lot of people go to announcers and all that stuff. But what happens after? A lot of people don't transition well after sports and stuff like that, but most people just completely, I mean, how many people are still big today from previous eras that missed out on the opportunity, or they just, I don't know. It's a unique example. I think my point is the King James thing is just, but everyone should be having, you have an opportunity to tell your story. Going back to Instagram stories, tell your fucking story, but tell it your way and have it documented. So for example, before you jump in, having my live podcast, I make so much content and so many videos. I say so many things, and I say shit that someone's going to be all the time. So every single day when I go live, it's the same type of content. We're talking about the videos that were posted today, the topics that are trending, answering any questions. So if there's ever something that I want to expound upon more and I want to talk a little bit more in depth, I got the Daily Swole. So I'm live every day. I can, if I said something, I wish I said it a little bit differently, or I wish a bunch of people didn't understand or didn't get the concept, I clarify it there. And whether or not other people that saw that one video saw the podcast, it's out there. The evidence is there. So it's just more ways to tell my message, and it just makes the content more invulnerable, because no matter what direction content goes, I've done short form. I was fucking crushing Snapchat to the point where I could do a story with my eyes closed and it'd be 14.9 seconds on the money. And then all of a sudden it went to Instagram stories. So because I was doing Snapchat like crazy, remember those whole like little movies I was doing? But change, and this is before
Spiegel and Arnold, and
this is before you can upload. You had to do it in real time when you were I was doing the music in the background before you could have music. So I was like, I was playing the song and then recording right at that same part of the song, so it'd be continuous. Dude. I used to, and it was great. And I've saved so many of them. They're in the archives. I'll have someone dig them out eventually.
That can be a new section inside of Swole X, eventually Swole Archives.
Dude, remember I used to post those on YouTube? I was ahead of the time. I was posting Swole snaps. Dude, I used to fucking...
I had a playlist that was just Snapchat Reels. So every day I would download it, and then I created like containers for it.
We both did that. I remember we both did that stuff. And
I was like, oh, bro, you know what? Oh my gosh, I just thought about this. You remember how Snapchat had that feature back, and they probably still have it in the platform. I don't use it anymore. But they had that where it's like you could bubble chat with people. So there'd be like 3, 4, 5, 6 bubbles in a row, and then your bubbles would go under mine and whatever. So you'd be driving in the car, and it was like almost like walkie-talkie FaceTime chat. Because I was looking back on our
Messenger.
Our messenger, like our actual chat on Snapchat, and we had all of these threads of us just like throwing little bubbles back at each other.
You said Instagram.
Oh, my bad.
I thought you said, maybe I misheard you. Yeah, on Snapchat you could do right. Or you send video messages. It was video messages, or you could send audio. Yes, dude. Snapchat was great, but they didn't have any way for you to. The novelty wore off when you didn't have profiles, when you didn't have any kind of. I guess you kind of did have a profile or a snap code, whatever it was. It just they didn't adapt fast enough, or they left themselves too vulnerable. They didn't see that Instagram. I find that it's probably it would have been really hard for Snapchat to predict that they would have just thrown it on top of their app. But Snapchat could have countered right away with something else. In other words, they weren't prepared. They didn't see, oh, someone else can just add this in. And they didn't change at all. They just left it the same, and it just tanked. I don't know who uses Snapchat now. I don't think even kids use it. I know kids use TikTok and Twitter. Aside from that, I don't hear anyone talking about Snap.
I people use it for private messaging and stuff. But I see it in people's bios and stuff on Tiktok, Instagram, whatever. But
sometimes on TikTok I see that, but I don't know.
Literally hooking up, sending stuff you probably, can't, shouldn't, don't want your friends, mom, dad, whatever to see.
But can't you screenshot that stuff now and record and screen record? It's so easy now. It doesn't even, make a difference.
Or just hold your phone and record it with another. Like I've seen that before, where it's like, I saw a funny TikTok like I was on 3-4 weeks ago, and this kid was like showing his screen, and this girl was like sending nudes, don't screenshot or whatever, and he was like, okay, I definitely won't. And then he pulls out another phone and is recording his screen. And I'm just like, these kids are savage, bro. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and people are stupid. People are stupid. If you don't like people talking back, if you don't want people knowing stuff, if you don't want people commenting, then don't post online. Then social media and the interwebs is not for you.
Interwebs.
Yeah, so many people are so paranoid or so upset when someone posts something or they tweet something ridiculous and people hate it and they give comments back.
Right.
Don't post it on Twitter. Don't post it on Instagram if you don't want people to push back or you don't expect people to. So my stuff, it's Russian roulette. Eventually someone's going to some things get people pissed off in ways that are really strange.
Yeah.
Like people get angry, like extra angry about certain topics that are so irrational, like as opposed to they don't care about, people are okay with everyone getting fat, but they get upset when you talk about the environment. It's
right.
Like, how fucking much do you care about the environment on your phone, you idiot?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how much of the environment got destroyed to deliver that iPhone to you? Isn't that
the environment right now?
Isn't that crazy?
It makes no sense.
You do realize there are some precious metals for these phones that are like dug out of the ground in Africa, and you have slaves that are pulling it out. People are dying to bring you these, like, Qualcomm is out there fucking, I don't know, just tearing apart the earth. Then they're shipping it to China, and some 3-year-old is reaching inside your phone to put like a chip in there. And then they're shipping it on a fucking freighter or air from around the world, delivering it where you're driving your fucking car that's polluting the air to get your fucking phone in your plastic wrap that you're disposing of. But the environment. Hey, I agree, but do something about it rather than texting. Like, you buying that phone, and then if you buy a flip phone, it's like, you virtue signaling jabroni. Put that flip phone away. Come on,
I saw that one.
Join us in this fucking decade.
Yeah, I saw that one post. It might have been a live stream, but you were showing that girl's Twitter account, and you were like, I just had to stop for a second. You're like, there's like 3 or 4 virtual signaling things just in her profile, and it was like
in her
bio.
Avatar.
Plus, her avatar had like a picture in it, so it was like fat acceptance, and it was also like something else, and like 3 different subject matters at the same time. Then it was like F Trump or something. I don't know.
It was health at every size. It was it was Haze, and then it said, and it was like intuitive eating, and then it showed a picture of her, something about wearing a shirt that said like fat liberation or something. It's like, geez, how many boxes can you check off in your avatar and your screen name? Oh, her name was something. Her name had she/her.
Yeah.
Like,
that's right. Yes.
What else would I call? What else would I call a female? Really? Right. Don't you don't have to list if it's the default, then the default setting, not your mental disorder on top of it.
Yeah.
God, this whole
speaking of which, I had a pretty famous, like 1.9 million followers or whatever on TikTok, delete one of my comments because I called his girlfriend, I was like, somebody I had been following for like a long time, enjoyed their content, whatever. And I was like, holy crap. I was like, this girl's been all over my For You page. I was like, I love her content. I didn't know you guys were together. And like the video was literally about him. He was like, he was like asking her for head in the video or something like that, whatever. So it was just like one of those comedy, funny videos. So I was like, oh, that's so dope. I love both of your content. It'd be fun to see what you guys create together. And then almost every single comment under my thing in like the matter of like, 30 seconds. Hey, it's they, and then he deleted my comment in like 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm just like,
what do you mean it's they? So it's not a she?
That's their pronoun. I have to call her they. And I'm just like,
why?
But what was crazy is the other day I was walking by somebody in our building, and they were coming up the stairs, but they was a female biologically, but she had short hair, boots on, oversized baggy jeans, and she wasn't looking up. Like, she was looking down. So I was coming down and she was coming up. I could only see the top of the head, which looked like a dude's haircut, like technically speaking or whatever. So I was like, oh, excuse me, sir, whatever. Then she like looked up, and I was like, oh man, like, but what, like, for example, but if I wanted to be proper in that moment, like actually, do what people are asking for and use the right pronouns or whatever, I'm walking by somebody, oh, excuse me, they. Like what do you want me to like? What do you actually want me to say out of my mouth that isn't going to offend you because I'm walking on some stairs? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying not to like get upset because I'm just like, okay, I actually have empathy for people wanting to be heard, you know, seen, accepted, all of that kind of stuff. I have, you know, 3 daughters myself. I want them to be seen. I want them to be heard, you know, all that kind of stuff, whatever. And I will keep, you know, feeding into that. But I'm just like, stop creating unspoken rules that nobody knows how to follow. You know what I'm saying? That's like if you walked into Walmart and you're walking down the aisle, you can't buy cereal. You don't have red shoes on. The fuck? Get out of this aisle. Are you serious? Like red shoe, like, you know what that means?
Ronald McDonald, bro.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, okay, please.
Hey, you ain't no clown.
Give me context that helps me honor and serve you, because nobody, like, and this is kind of the point I'm trying to make, is like, eventually human behavior catches up to itself. You know how like when you're really mad at your brother or sister or whatever, or family member, y'all go like heated adrenaline, you know, all that kind of stuff, whatever. Then you're done and you both kind of feel stupid. You're like, it wasn't that big of a deal. We're just being hot-headed or stupid or whatever. That's what I feel like people are doing right now. Let's get pissed about everything. Let's create our little, you know, subsects and our, you know, groups and our segmentations and all this kind of stuff. But then after a while, and this is what I believe, humans always calibrate behaviorally, naturally. That's how we survive, literally, as a race. It's like eventually we will realize this is not helping us make any type of progress, like zero progress. The more separation, the more segmentation, the more like physically, biologically, mentally, our practices, our belief system, all that kind of stuff. It's okay to be different, unique, all of those things. But there has to be a level of camaraderie that we come into or calibrate back to, just literally for the progression of our society. Because we can't progress forward if literally every single layer that you peel back, there's 7 different teams cutting each other, you know, throat. Like, it just makes 0 sense.
It's the most marginalized wins. It's a whole power grab. It's about power. That's all it is. That's why there's no conversation about what happens next. It's just about what must burn down,
right?
What must get dragged down, what must get destroyed. There's no conversation about what happens next because they don't know. There's no leadership to this movement, quote unquote.
Yep.
It's just chaos and anarchy, and it's a horizontal takeover, which is why it's literally, this is how sleeper cells work. And the sleeper cells came from the education system. It came from this kind of virus spreading that people have allowed. And everyone's trying to save their job and their career. And this perfect storm of having social media where it literally records everything that you do. Everything that you do. And I'm really glad that I was born just early enough to not have my entire childhood documented online.
Right.
Everything from scratch. So really the internet, really, you're not going to find, I didn't have Facebook until college. So I was really only posting 2008, 9. So it's like the same as everyone. I pretty much have a history as long as anyone. It wasn't, hey, when I was 5, all my stuff, I had my first account, like kids that are born,
right?
You know, like your kids and your girls or kids that were born like in the early 2000s.
Yep.
So this whole
I made the mistake of putting all 3 of them online like almost immediately.
Well, I mean, it's important that they learn.
Yeah. Well, no, they use technology. I mean, they homeschool, they, you know, all that.
I think they need to, but it's also how they're going to use it the way they see you using it.
Right.
And they're going to see you getting upset or going on Twitter or getting really internalized or always being on your phone or this, you know, they're going to, getting all upset. But this whole coddling where we really just have adult children. We haven't really had any, even September 11th, we really haven't had a lot of, I mean, that's 20 years ago. Yeah. It's amazing how long ago that was. But even then it was very, as much as it was the entire country, it was pretty compartmentalized. It was almost New York City's problem.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was very, because I was born in New York City and I was going to school in Pennsylvania. So it was really close to home. A lot of people at the college were from New York City. I knew, like, literally there were people on my floor whose parents worked in the World Trade Center. There was a story that we don't have to get into that, but her dad was okay because he forgot his wallet at home. He had to go back home that morning. Bro, he would have been in the fucking building. So she was in my room you know, they're like 10 because we had the biggest TV in our room, which is like a 27-inch at the time. So, but everyone was in there and she was on the ground, like, and people were holding her because she was crying.
Yeah.
Because that's where her dad worked. And it's like, and we're all in there like, what do you fucking do? You're just watching these things. And we're all watching because my dad had called me. I was watching it when the second one hit. So I was watching it. I saw that shit live, bro.
Yeah, we were watching it. I was in 6th grade, bro. No, I was in 5th grade. Yep, I was in 5th grade.
There's no fucking fifth grade? You're not that much younger than me. You're that much younger than me?
I was in, I think it was Mrs. McQuaid. It was my teacher or something like that. I forgot. Yeah, but I remember the room. It was in Ashland, Ohio. I was in 5th grade.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, I was thinking about it wrong.
Because my 6th grade room was like right next to us. But I remember they turned on the TV. We had like one girl in our class and her mom was like in politics. So she was like on the phone with her and she's, you know, the whole like updating the class and having all these opinions about what's happening and what this means. She's literally teacher had to tell her stop telling everybody we're going to war and all this kind of stuff and you know whatever. And it's like, but the second plane hit and then our teacher turned it off. They're like, we can't keep watching this.
Bringing it back to we're going.
I know we're off.
No, fuck that shit. But we're talking about the horizontal movement, the spread. So all these kinds of these ideas that are very, very Marxist in nature.
Right.
This whole kind of power class struggle that the focus isn't on the right people. It's getting deflected for political gain. And this is what I really do see. And I listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm not talking about mainstream shit, but the reasons why a lot of these, for example, the DNC, why they are leveraging this and repurposing the anger against white men. There's so much anti-white. They're making it racist. They're making it this real weird, sexist, racist, intersectional, all these fucking problems. Whereas if you're truly trying to get power back, which in other words, these huge systems like the Democrat, like that whole entire platform, like the left versus right, all that money in those machines, that's where this type of frustration should be directed.
Yeah.
That's where it should be directed, not against people that have nothing to do with it.
Right.
Nothing. So what do people in power do? What's the goal? Like think about how this works. If you're at the top, like whatever the top is, we don't have to, there's different types of being at the top. What do you want? You make them fight against each other, bro. You don't want them coming after you.
Yep.
Pointing the fingers at you. It's like, no, it's this person. Oh, get them. And then they run that way. It's like, it's like a cartoon. And everyone's just going that direction.
The Office.
Everyone's right. Everyone's arguing with each other. Everyone's complaining about shit that is no one's fault that's alive today. That it's better than it ever has been. There's more opportunity, as much as there are people that are hungry in this country. We're moving, bro, the last 50, 60 years for society relations, whether it's gay, whether it's black, white, Hispanic, like there's a lot of problems with immigration. There's a lot of problems with security. There's a lot of problems with inequality in terms of opportunity and stuff. This ain't moving forward, right? Like, why are we running against Dr. King? Why are we running against all that? Maybe we just got a little bit off course, or maybe we need to sharpen the vision. And there's no clarity because there's no head of this movement that you can talk to. Okay, what do your people want? We want this. Okay, let's have a discussion.
Yeah.
There's no organization, which is what makes it so scary, because there are a lot of good intended people that are talking bullshit.
Right.
But they don't know it's bullshit. They have the emotion behind it. They're bored. They're in quarantine. They don't have a job. They're frustrated. So they're venting. They're venting on stuff. And they're like, well, fuck, we're protesting. Fuck yeah. And they say whatever. And they just blend in to the point where they're going to say shit that they can't go back on, that they have to convince themselves they believe so they can sleep at night, because they're going to go too far. And this is what happened in Nazi Germany. A lot of people didn't believe, but it's like, shit, I can't speak up now. It's too late.
Yeah.
So you keep quiet. It's like, okay, well, we'll speak up when it's really important. If it gets that far, we'll say something.
Right.
Bullshit, you will.
Nope.
Bullshit. And that's why it gets out of control. And that's why it snowballs. And there's so there's so much evidence. This happened in Russia. It's like, this is history.
Yeah.
That's why history is so important. So you don't fucking repeat it, because every time everyone dies off, oh, that's a book. Oh, we'll do it differently. We'll do it better. Oh, really? Yep. Really? Like, this is amazing. Why do you think everyone wants to come here? Let's not burn it down. Let's just improve it. Yeah. And there's also this idea that everything could ever be equal with anything. It's never, even opportunity.
It's not even like evolutionarily, or however you would say that, or biologically possible. Like it's not in our DNA to like there has like order is the only thing that separates us from animals.
Peace.
We have order. Yeah. Yep. Like there's an order to the crap that we do, in a sophistication to the way that we do it. Otherwise, we would literally just be food, sex, and breathing, or like whatever. It's like, and we're not far from that as a race, but I'm just like, so like all of that to say, I was going to make a point on people often confuse their empathy for groups, for people or whatever, with facts and truth and logic. And I think there has to be a little bit of a separation from our emotional stance on things versus actually being beneficial. Like, is like the whole thing of like, not all things that are good are beneficial, not all things, whatever. It's like, it's the difference between me disciplining my kids and me punching my daughter in the face. It's like, I can tell her constructively, this is not okay. Or I could slap the shit out of her and get CPS called on me, or like whatever. It's the same thing. You can communicate with me in a way that allows us to have unity, forward progression, all that kind of stuff. And some of the stuff that you were just saying, or we could just keep battling ourselves back to 1805 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then what? We need free thinkers who aren't going to look at good storytellers and good content creators or whatever. It doesn't matter where they, like you said, doesn't matter who's at the top, what they believe in, what they're, whatever. It's like, we have to have free thinkers, or else we are just going to intercept, like you said, what somebody else told us about it. And we're either going to be too early or too late, spoke too soon, didn't spoke. It's like, no, think for yourself. Look at the truth. Look at the facts. I'm glad that you relate to that mother who went on TikTok or Instagram and said, I have this and whatever, and this is my life, and you related to her life. That doesn't mean she's telling the fucking truth. Like, just because you have empathy for people or you relate to their stories, you don't think they know that. It's just like that dude. And this is like the big punchline to what you were just saying, drawing it back full circle. That I don't even remember his name, but that dude who started Backstreet Boys. He was like the AR, the manager. He's like some white dude, businessman, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, Scooter Braun?
No. Oh, no, he's newer. This dude is old, fat, white, whatever.
That was.
I'm not even sure if he's still alive. He might be.
Wasn't he go to jail or prison? There's some like whole.
So he started the Backstreet Boys. It wasn't financially beneficial enough for him. There's a documentary on YouTube about it. So he started.
Scooter was Bieber, right?
Yeah, he was Bieber, and
was it the manager?
Yeah, the manager of Backstreet Boys.
I watched a video or a documentary or something on this on YouTube. One about manager. What happened?
And so he started in sync.
Lou Pearlman.
Yep, that's him, Lou.
Okay.
And so he started in sync to compete against the Backstreet Boys. So he owned 80 to 90% of both of them, both groups. So they were making as two different brands millions and millions and millions and millions, and then giving them like $10,000 checks and $5,000 checks and 50 whatever. So this is my take on life in general. If something is happening at the lowest common denominator, you don't think when there's more on the line that people are going to do that X5, X10, like whatever. So if he was doing that on a media and artist, management level, and we do this at a individual household level, we do it in our communities, we do it like, and when I say do it, I mean, we do these manipulative, communicative type of, things that put us on top or, allow us to climb the totem pole of life or civilization, whatever you want to call it. This is human behavior. You don't think that when there's $2 billion on the line, $100 billion on the line, a huge company like TikTok that's being almost bought by Microsoft and Apple and Disney and like everybody's trying to control the general population's ideologies, thought processes, whatever, versus allowing people to freely think and just having sort of regulatory ways in which we communicate with each other. I'm just really tired of us like preaching we have free speech, and preaching we have opportunity, and preaching we have all of these things. And it's like, if you actually get away from the emotional of what it should stand for and what America should be or whatever, and go down to what we're actually behaving, America is a brand name at the end of the day. America is a brand. That's literally what it is. So the brand means nothing if we're behaving opposite of what we've established as the brand. And that correlation, I think people need to realize, it's like, we can behave ourselves out of what America was, or what it can be, or what it should be, or whatever. We can behave ourselves into not the best, not the first, not the greatest, not the most innovative. And who's to even say that some of that, half of it, a part of it, any of that is even true, or like what part of history is true? You know, there's so many dynamics, and people act like just because the last 20 years has been documented on the internet that, oh, these are all new things. This shit has been happening for hundreds, if not thousands of years. We've just got better at telling the stories, which accelerates the process in which all of these life cycle of movements and shit happens. So I just don't understand why people won't freely think. Stop being spoon-fed lies and then behaving off of lies. And then your life and your stories and your relationships, everything becomes about a lie. And I just, it's frustrating.
The problem with one of the things that you said, it's not the last 20 years, it's literally eternity is online. So I think it's going to be a less popular thing to say, but I think there's just too much access to information for there might be, or this might have been, in the sense that it might have been too much too fast without the structure of the framework. So we're behind the 8 ball, the carts before the horse type thing, where everyone had, because if what you're seeing now with what we're both frustrated with, and a lot of people are frustrated with, is the fact that you're comparing history to modern standards, which is the most ridiculous, asinine nonsense. How can you compare what's going on?
I'm sorry, that was beautiful language. Can you repeat that again? You're comparing history to modern.
Yeah, you're judging people, you're judging historical events by modern standards. It's like, 40 years ago, I couldn't marry a black woman if I wanted to legally.
Yeah.
Legally. A lot different now, whether or not you think it's a legit comparison. We did have to the point where we have a black president elected for 2 terms, whether you liked his policies or not. Right. Remember when he was elected, Obama was elected in 2008? That was a massive, massive thing.
Yep.
And how quickly people realize, if anything, has proven that there's no such thing as like what racism, for whatever, Obama wasn't perfect. He did a lot of bad shit. There's always good and bad, but when you're looking back 200 years, if we're talking about slavery, we're talking about a lot of these racial issues. Mm-hmm. But this is 2020.
Yep. Like,
obviously there's echoes. Of course, it's called history. You all know what happens with an echo. It gets fainter and fainter. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's echoing less than it has ever before. Of course, there's still people that are going to hate black people, and we don't talk enough about the black that hate fucking white. There's racism. There's racism within the black community. There's racism, right? Yep. Darker skinned blacks are against lighter skinned blacks. And they're,
yeah.
So, I mean, I know that's going to go, and you can,
I was going to say that earlier when you were talking about you weren't talking about fat shaming. We were talking about something else, virtual signaling or something. But I was saying I was going to say it was unsolvable because of what you just said. Not only is it battles between these different
infighting,
groups,
bro.
It's internal, bro. Yeah. And so it's just like, so even if you take like schools, for example, right? And this is why I also think like your echo point is such a good point. It's like, you can't identify the source of anything anymore, which means we have too much information. So for example, you're in class, everybody hates the teacher and bullshits the teacher or whatever. And they don't like her rules or side, whatever. Well, I'm just following what the principal is telling me to do because I have to hold my class to certain. Principal, why are you? Well, I'm just doing what the school board is telling me to do because boom, boom, boom. Board, but I'm just doing what the state is telling me to do because you see what I'm saying? Like we can't, and everybody has a different interpretation. And so I'm saying I'm using a understandable environment like a school that everybody's familiar with to compare that to the world. This is government. This is the law. This is this is society. Like these order, I don't even have language for it. That's how like touchable it is. It's like who makes the final decision on these things? Because to even say the president is the one who's doing it, or everybody wants there to be like an entity. You can be like left, right, president, this person, owner of this company. No, at the end of the day, if we don't have free thinking people, our society will crumble. And it may not even just be America. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, Trump is a brand. Trump is a brand. All of this is a brand. When you start creating content, I think this is a little bit, it goes very, very deep with the whole Wizard of Oz, who's pulling the strings behind the curtain. Because once you realize, it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, you realize, wait a second, you're billing $200 million for this movie. You're charging me, like, they're making so much money for multimedia pictures. And now with everyone when you can buy fucking cameras that shoot 4K XYZ, when everyone is getting more and more skilled with a phone, when you have pretty much the apps that are making it almost unnecessary for me to use my G7X, the Mark II, the little one. It's getting to the point where it's only good. Remember, we've been talking about for a while and you're starting to see more videos on YouTube. Is a phone enough? And it's very close. I would say within the next, I don't want to say
generations.
Yeah, I was going to say 3 to 5 years. I don't want to say 3 years, because of course the cameras get a little bit better too, but within 5 years, you're not going to need anything else but a phone to probably do everything.
Yeah.
I can do a multi-stream. I could do a multi-stream on all the platforms from my phone.
From your phone. Yep. And what is your take on that?
No, I wasn't done with, where was I going with the,
I'm sorry.
The phone, the camera. What were we just talking about before that?
I was talking about how like school infrastructure and then government in regards to like our society will crumble if we don't end up becoming free thinkers like for ourselves, you know?
I know, but where was I going to go with that? The free thinking.
And then your camera's catching up with, your G7X.
Oh, okay. So the lifting the curtain, right? So you're starting to see, you mean, in other words, people are experiencing what it takes to do fundamental film type shoots.
Right.
Same thing with the news.
There you go.
Oh, so you mean it's just humans behind a camera? Because once you start creating content where it's really sharp and there's overlays, kind of what I do with the podcast, you realize
that's all they're doing.
Oh, that's what that dude's doing in the other room. Or, that's what that's what a producer does. I never knew what a producer did. Oh, that's what an editor did. Oh, the editors are the most important aspect of this. Oh, you mean the actors do next to nothing. Oh, why are they getting so much money? And you realize, and I've pieced together things that I've seen throughout just my life. It just kind of, where I remember one part, I remember watching a video about this scene in one of the Transformer movies where it was like a 5-second morph scene. It took them 4 months to virtual effect.
Yeah.
Of like, it was like 5 to 10 or 8 seconds of like when a human morphed into, it was just, hard. They showed like the scales. You probably remember that it was a scene that took 3 or 4 months.
That was X-Men.
No, right? it was a Transformers scene. Dude, there's so many. I didn't watch them all. It was like 2 or 3 or something. I just remember seeing this video talking about how this one 5-10 second scene took 3 or 4 months. So once you start editing, you realize, editing makes the mood, the sound. And then when I start fucking around with sound and your ears get sharper.
Sound design.
Oh my God. Sound editing is harder than fucking video editing.
So much harder.
And then you realize, and then of course you get into the field and you realize why people purchase different things and why that piece of equipment is important. But in other words, you realize that it's just people behind all this, and you understand how all the systems in this world are being fluffed. They're all being inflated. Government, why do you think they made such big fucking buildings? Why do you think DC is structured the way it is? Why do you think it looks so imposing when you stand next to these pillars that are massive? Because it's imposing. Because even there's little tiny humans walking around. That's all it is. It's a facade, which is scary as fuck. Because if I don't want to say stupid people, but if you get too many people like this, it's not stupidity, but it's like, it's the real concept of being woke, not this bullshit one. It's like, I realize when you realize that you run you have the power, the people have the power, not the government, which is why you have, there's different layers. There's the extreme people that want, like, we need the guns to fight the government. Other people are like, you don't need it. But people that really understand how things work, you realize you do need to have, protections against power and X, Y, and Z. But people are seeing, I know I'm rambling, but people understand that, or they're seeing more that it's people behind the scenes. It's just people. It's just human beings that are doing this. And now that they're experiencing it themselves, you start to see everything else with a different light. Like, don't fucking lie to me. I know what you're doing behind the scenes. I know what an edit does. Oh, you mean you just cut that part out? Oh, that's what a jump cut is? Oh, it soothes the eye as it jumps in, it cuts in. You don't realize they cut out 4 fucking minutes.
Right.
So I see it in comments when, now that Joe Rogan's podcast hasn't been live, you see a lot in comments, people said that fucking cut at 25:34 was brutal. What was removed? Everyone knows, they're so sensitive to a cut because everyone's editing videos now.
Yep.
So that's why I was saying before that my content, I'm starting to make my content much more casual and it's always been authentic, but now I'm not overproducing it because everyone's overdoing it. And then you just see through that. People are hungry for real fucking shit. That's why TikTok popped off, because it's like the reason why stories should have been really promoted.
Yep.
But I think people are going to be responding more towards, there's always going to be those people that do better with higher, that need to use like a fucking, a Mark 5, $5,000 camera to film a fucking Instagram story.
Right.
But I think more people need to tell their story and just be real with it, because it's already exposed. The cat's out of the bag. But leading you into probably what you're going to talk about next, it's important to say what you think now.
Yes.
To make it known. That's why I go so hard. That's why I'm not pulling any punches. That's why it's so offensive. Fucking do something.
Yeah.
I am my own island. You can't try cancel. Oh, you're going to shut down my YouTube? Fine. I got 400,000 followers over here, 100 here. I text my community. Where are you going to remove my web? You can't. I'm not, as long as you're not doing anything illegal, but you have to let people know where you stand. And a lot of people are pandering, and they're going to get absolutely buzzsawed, because what you do when you pander and you apologize and you tiptoe, what happens? That little stumble on that tightrope that you're fucking walking between buildings, you're fucking done. It will pounce all at once. You were saying that you use the word empathy. It's compassion.
Yeah.
The compassion, that veil and that fake ass compassion that, oh, we love you, we're all accepting. Again, with the fat acceptance stuff that I always talk about. Okay. You're not fat enough. Oh, you're an X fat. Oh, you're super fat. You're not infiniFat. So then how fat do you need to be? And how loud do you have to promote your positivity for fatness for you to be accepted? You have to be the most, you have to be the loudest. You have to be the most extreme. And then it just keeps on pushing people towards this fucking louder, which gets you more likes, which gets you more views, because you're addicted to the social media kick. So it encourages people to be more extreme, and which increases divisiveness. And again, the infighting between, and it comes out in real life. It comes out in real life with the crime rates, right? Black on black crime. No one talks about it enough. They do, but no one actually talks about it.
Right.
It's used as a rebuttal. Well, you're racist. It's like, are these numbers on a paper? Like, numbers. I don't think the blood in the streets is racist.
We have not been able to.
Everyone bleeds. Everyone bleeds red. Everyone bleeds fucking red. And why don't lives matter anymore? Why do no one's lives matter? People are dying all the time. No one cares about life. I think we're just inundated with too much information, too many pictures, too many bites of information to care whether it's a death, whether it's a victory, whether it's a loss, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just, you're getting hammered with just data. And to a point, it's just background noise. That's why that's why you have to be the most unique. And that's why people tend to go the most extreme, so they can kind of like a little gopher, poke their head out so someone notices them, like, hey, what's that over there?
Yeah.
And then it goes viral, or they get attention, positive or negative.
Yep.
So people are risking their sanity by going more depraved, like Nico Cotto, like just binge eating and being more disgusting to stay relevant.
Yep.
And people are pigeonholing themselves into like this really fucked up mental state. They're doing content that they don't enjoy. They're doing content that they think other people want to see.
Yep.
And it's like, views are going to go down. My shit's fucking stonewall. We talk about analytics. We were mentioning that before the PROCAST. my shit just fucking flatlines because YouTube decides that they want to flatline it. If they want to be really progressive and silence me being harsh or swearing or whatever topics I'm covering, I need to do the things that I want to do my way, and whether it gets views or not, fine. But I need to be okay with what I'm doing, whether it's popular or whether it's not popular. And most people only trend towards what other people want them to do. It's like, if I want to make fun of, dumb beaches on TikTok, I'm probably going to go back to that. I left it for a little bit, but it's so much fun. But I'm just, a lot of these platforms are not interesting anymore. And I don't want to get romantic about a platform and not use it because I don't like TikTok. Well, if it's popular, you should use it. But at the same time, I want to enjoy my life. Yeah. And I like TikTok for when we were using it from September till about January, February, when it really kind of tanked. And it was really fun to create on it, but things mature and peak and get shitty and fucking gunked up. They didn't evolve their platform fast enough when it came to where they are right now, which is why I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think life cycles across the board are shortening.
So short.
Things
are getting old so fucking fast.
Yeah.
Like, I almost feel like TikTok peaked and people are already kind of burned out with it.
Yep. And
which is crazy because that really only popped it popped just before me. Like, the fact that Charlie started like 3 weeks before I did.
Yeah. You gotta think of it. Yeah, it's just a lot of it's just timing. So one of the things I think that was really important out of what you were just saying is people using this time in history with where media is at, with where culture is at, to authentically take their stance and kind of post their flag of who they are, what their beliefs are, truths, because you gotta think about even how exponentially fast technology is growing. At some point, everything and everyone is going to be exposed for the core nucleus of who they are. You know what I'm saying? So like at some point you have to shed off the facades, you have to shed off the, the brand face, the curtains, the whatever it is, and tell your story, because that's the only thing that can't change with technological advances. It can't change with channels, it can't change with opportunity, with attention, with position, with relationship, is your truth, your constant, right? And so if we live in a world, in a culture, in a media space with almost only variables, you have to be your own constant. So that's why I kept telling people in the probably last 3-4 things that I've published media wise is these channels don't matter. TikTok does not matter. Instagram Reels, IGTV, YouTube, Facebook, that doesn't matter. That's like literally that's like saying, hey, do you want to fish on Lake Michigan or, Lake Huron? It's like, okay, they're both lakes. What type of fish do you want to catch? What do you want to eat tonight? Like, or are you doing it for enjoyment? Like, whatever it is, like, what's your truth? Like, are you telling a story because you like documenting your family? You don't mind people, looking at that. And if it gets attention, great. If not, you're doing it because it's beautiful. It's like a visual scrapbook, and that's a fulfilling enough for you. Are you creating how-to content because you actually enjoy educating people? Are you taking stances on things because you want to be the new standard for creating room for people to have, constructive conversations or whatever? So you're taking like an unbiased, put your flag in the sand and do you. Yes, it's going to evolve. Yes, it's going to change or whatever, but you're very similar to almost what we said in the first line of episode 1 of the Procast. It's like, at some point your truth is going to matter, and I just lost the phrase of what we said there. But anyways, I think now is the time for people to take their stance, because you're either going to get exposed, fall behind, not actually, like the more disconnected you are, the easier it is going to be for you to be manipulated. Oh, your girl said that on IG. She reposted something, and at the end of it was like, it said, if you let people, like, I don't know, bother, offend you or something, you're more easily manipulated. I think it's the same thing about information, because it's essentially like the gateway to being offended or whatever is, okay, you have a plethora of information and media around you. Be your constant, so that way you're not easily offended, you're not easily manipulated, you're not easily controlled. Participate, but don't be so controlled and blown by the wind.
Well, most people fuck up because they don't act like themselves. So right. They have to keep that lie up, and they have to keep that facade up, and it destroys your mental health. If you're creating content that you don't enjoy, it's the same type of thing as like with doing other things you don't enjoy. That's why people change their content up, because they don't enjoy it anymore. Right. And then they alienate their audience because they pigeonhole themselves. They didn't do it right from the start. they built an audience doing one type of content and they change it and everyone's like, no, I don't like this video anymore, or the algorithm changes and they don't have that infrastructure. So they back themselves up into a corner, but they don't realize it. So a lot of people did that because the internet was brand new. They didn't realize, and most people don't think that way anyway. They just post and try to get get attention. Most people, and that's the game. You try to get attention, but the problem is that that's the worst way to create longevity. And that's why TikTok blew up, is because they made that the drug.
Right.
Yep. Facebook didn't realize, like the companies didn't realize when they started, yeah, attention's the thing. Maybe a couple people behind, like marketing people that started that, were a part of Facebook, were a part of this, but the psychology behind it that's gotten developed over the past decade is that it's about the response, what actually gets that dopamine kick, what actually gets that addiction. And that's the like, that's the heart, that's the follower. And that's why TikTok gives you followers. They give you reach more blatantly and more flagrantly than other apps because they're all mature already. So TikTok, you want to go viral, go on TikTok and post 10 times.
Yep.
One will get a couple 100,000 views. One.
Yep. And then you're like, crap, I'm a content creator now. Ooh, let's get it.
Give someone that's your first bump. That's your first addiction. Like, oh, I want another kick. I want another high. Yeah. And you see that people just brand new post and it gives them, who gets 12,000 followers really fast? No one on no platform. So then you keep on creating and then you hit that wall and you keep on trying to get that next one. And if you look through people's posts, you can see how many it takes for them to have one that pops relative to their base, how long it takes for them to get one to pop extra. Yeah. And some people just every single post some people have a fraction of the followers that I do and they post regularly and they're getting 5, 10, 20, 30 times the views every video. I'm like, what the fuck is with my content, all the platforms? It's got to be the offensive nature. It's got to be the way I talk, the subjects. It's got to be just that I'm not
anything that's not easily controlled or easily categorized or classified is not beneficial to a media and advertising platform.
Right. Not going niche. And that's why I don't like, and you know me.
But you
know me. I always say, like we talked about the niche, like doing one type of video specific, period. That's all you do. And that's the one way I hate making content. So on any platform, I have to do a little bit. I have to have a couple, no matter what channel, I have to have a little bit of variety on every platform. I can't I don't like pigeonholing myself. I like latitude, which is why I have Red, White, and Swole. If I want to talk about something political or social, I have another show for it. I'm starting like the new channel, the Papa Swolio channel. And then the Procast, we talk about this and we have a channel for this. Like there's times when you want to have there's branding and there's branding, there's niche, and then there's backing yourself up into a corner. And then there's vulnerability. So not only is there platform vulnerability, there's content vulnerability too. Because if you're not giving yourself the latitude to evolve as a person, you are going to mentally, you're going to destroy your brain. You're going to fuck up your mental health. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be resentful. And the only way you have to, if you want to get successful with content, with fitness, you have to love what you're doing. You have to, bottom line, you have to do it. You want to get big, you want to get lean, you want to have fitness, whatever it is, you have to do it whether you like it or not. So you have to figure out what makes you like it, what makes you consistent, what makes you habitual. Same thing with content, right? The Daily Swole has evolved. You remember the first day it was always, but what's been constant to the Daily Swole? It's always been about the live viewers. It's always been interactive. It's always been, I'm looking at the comments, I'm talking to people, I'm answering questions. So throughout all the iterations, as much as the show has changed, it stayed the same because it's just me and the Swole fam. It's the people that are watching live. So you have to find that nucleus. What do you like? I like live streaming. I like having conversations, but there's something about live that everything else, every other art form or creative form is just nothing. There's nothing that replaces being entertaining, informative, and keeping and capturing an audience live. There is nothing like having the same amount of people watching a live stream that doesn't vary at all. As if the number, I thought the number was, sometimes I think the number's broken. Sometimes I'm like, oh shit.
No, you just captured attention, my
sometimes
guy.
Sometimes I think it's like, it's frozen. And then it goes up 1. And then after like another 10 minutes, it goes down 1. And I'm like, I love it because I'm there too. We're all here. around the world. They're watching me on their phone or their screen or their TV. I'm here talking to. It's like the only thing I'm not seeing is them. They see me. I see their name and their avatar and picture, like their little picture.
Right.
It's almost like Skype, only I don't hear their voice. It's just as close as it gets to an actual me doing what we're doing with a lot of people at once. It's like, there's nothing like it. So I love live streaming, and everything else is, I try to make everything else as clean. I realize that the way I do my content is as close to a live stream as I can possibly get.
Yeah.
All my shit is one take. All my, like, even the stuff that seems like it was planned and structured, the timing with the beat, with the music. Right. It's not, it's one take. Like my stories or Instagram stories or a reel that's like dum, 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 dum. It's one take. I don't fucking I'm not sitting there doing transitions and shit like these. No, I do reps. That's how you build muscle. That's how you do this stuff. That's how you get better.
And if you want it to last,
right. But okay. But I want to hear your take on that, because I like that was fire. That content variability or that content growth. People do not give themselves room to grow as a human in their content.
Right.
And that's because people don't think into the future.
Right.
They're instant gratification. They don't think long term. That's why right now, this episode of the Procast, this is number one. This is the archive is in Swole TV, and the bonus content and the member questions we'll take at the end of this stream, and that's where all like the bonus content. But this is a brand new, because I'm thinking 10 years into the future, bro. I'm thinking 10 years. Like this needs its own channel.
Yeah.
And it's that little bit of an underdog thing, and we're gonna love seeing that little subscriber count go like one.
Bro, and the way you and I are competitive, we're gonna gamify it ourselves, bro.
And you know what it is too, that this episode we've done a few already, right? We did it, and now we're starting with the channel. So there's something about it. I can't start at episode 11 or 20. It's like we have to remember the Daily Swole did 23, and then so there's something about this is one. It's like it's almost like abusing myself. It's like, fuck you, you're starting over.
Yeah.
There's that little
wine.
It's the grind and the hustle.
The hustle. You're not even going up.
No, it's the hustle of it's knowing that you're starting from scratch, and it's just showing I'm not afraid to start 5 fucking channels. I got 3 already. Now I got 5. It's like
that's your next TikTok. I'm never done.
We're building one, and we're building one together.
Yeah. More reps. I came up with a sort of like an analogy in my head when you were saying the point about like people not being able to get past like just attention, grabbing or whatever, and not actually building a brand or settling into their own voice, all that kind of stuff. It's like, do you want to be a commercial airline that you're 90 people at a time, 100 people at a time, 150 people at a time, just boom, every day, numbers not moving, carry them, airline? Or do you want to be a car accident on the highway that 1,000 people, 10,000 people stop and look at, but nobody knows any context. They don't know who you are. They just know, holy shit, that thing was on fire as I drove by, backed up the highway for 30 miles, AKA going viral. And now it's just gone. So your only option, like you were saying earlier, is to get in another car accident or change the way that you're presented. Like literally, like
this is not a secret on how to go viral online.
Yeah. This is
disclaimer. Don't get into a car accident. Don't get content.
Drive, follow safety laws, buckle your seatbelt and whatever. So, but it's like literally
unless there's protesters on the highway.
Yeah. And don't run them over. Like, Portland, chill. Jesus, y'all. Portland, chill. Can y'all chill? Like just one day. Just give us one day. You know how like they say Jesus rested on the 7th day? Can y'all rest on like Tuesdays? You know what I'm saying?
Riot every night.
Yeah.
we must riot. Get out of the streets. Get out of here. I'm angry. What you angry at? I don't know. But I'm angry. And you know what? If you want to stop a riot, imagine just go. What if I like like if I was at your place, what if I just went out like passing out bacon? Like, hey, bro, want some bacon? And be like,
who's gonna say no?
Like, oh, dude, thanks, man, appreciate it. They're probably all vegans up there. You probably get your ass. You probably actually get like tear gas thrown at you. Actually, considering bacon's from a pig and cops, that's actually really that was a terrible idea.
It's a low key bad idea.
That was I didn't realize I went that deep. I was just talking because I love bacon. I didn't. All right, so.
Passing out bacon Yo.
I didn't think that one through. All right.
Yeah. Which is 90% of people.
So much for this episode. Throw it out.
All right, let's start. All right. Welcome back to episode 1 of the Swolenormous PROCAST.
And we're back.
No. Yeah. So I think we live in a very, hey, look, that car accident. No, do you see the one over there? Oh, did you see that forest fire? No, bro, that was a tornado forest fire. Did you it's like, okay, I
like that car accident.
Yeah. And it's like, so you either build a brand, and it's not, and when we say build a brand, I'm not saying you're going to eventually have this shit on a billboard on the side of a building or something. I'm saying build an infrastructure. Like a simpler way to say it is like build a foundation, build a consistency for yourself, of your ability to communicate and participate in things that matter, because whether we like it or not, these things are affecting our personal lives. Even if we don't feel like we have control or we can contribute to these moments, they are affecting how we live, how we experience life, how we go through different cultural moments or whatever. So you have to, again, I know I keep saying it, but you have to find your constant and be your constant. And the only way to do that is reps, and so the last episode I just dropped on my podcast was literally, do you create more or do you create better, right? And it's like, I personally think it varies depending on where you're at. And so, for example, the analogy I used there, or the equation, threshold I used there was, okay, if you're in a place where you don't quite have a grasp on whatever it is you're trying to do or execute or whatever, reps allows you to get the experience to be more efficient, accurate, whatever. But if you're in a place where you already kind of get it, grasp it, whatever, do a little bit less on the reps and just do consistent accuracy, right? But there's a balance between the more that you do something rep wise, the more accurate are, which gives you more confidence to do more reps, which makes you more accurate, which is essentially how your entire life has been, fitness wise, media wise, all that kind of stuff. Is like, if you don't know it, you do it 17 times until you do know it.
It's the chicken or the egg, but it's with content. A lot of people are waiting to start. They're trying to be perfect. Like, what do I do? How do I figure it out? Remember, we're just talking about, even with the PROCAST, even with just doing the other stuff that we've talked about. Remember the other day, and I'm saying, it's like, we just start. You start and then you figure it out. I mean, the same thing. That's why it's always going back to the basics and remembering where everything came from. So I have to look back at the podcast, look back at the Daily Swole. Okay, where'd this start?
Right.
I just started. I started recording, and then it developed and it changed and it tweaked as it went forward. And that's it. I didn't know what it was going to be. I started doing the Daily Swole before Swolenormous Premium. I did Swolenormous Premium before Swolenormous X.
Yep.
For the first year of Swolenormous X, I look back on that now. Oh my God. What
90-day dash or premium first?
90 premium. Premium was like around for like 7 or 8 months. And then when the 90-day dash launched, and then that was, it's all developed.
Yeah.
So when you ask me, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, I have no fucking idea, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yep. And planning for it and feeding into it.
I think there's a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to planning.
Yeah.
I don't think a clear, coherent vision is for everyone. And I'll explain.
Ooh, interesting.
Because I never had that. When someone says, where do you see yourself in the future? I'm more like, I'm going to find out. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's so bad. I think everyone's trying to, or everyone expects or thinks that you have to have this whole fucking map. That can work for certain things. That can work for certain things if you have a generic life. If you're, I want to be a doctor and I'm going to open up my own practice. And I think that's great, because some people know they want to be a doctor from when they're 5 years old.
Yep.
I figure out what I want to do when I'm 33 or 34. And I actually think I'm still figuring it out. This is really what I've been doing for the past couple months since this quarantine, the lockdown, everything. I've been focusing on, okay, how do I like my days? What do I want to really do? Because I have so many ideas. And the problem with me and my ideas is I will execute. It will be fully fucking ready to go. Yep. And I will create something that really is amazingly branded. It's sharp as fuck. But I don't want to be dragged by my own content.
Yep.
So recently it's been, okay, what can I cut out? More about what do I want to do? What do I want to do? How do I want this ship to run? Like, what content do I like doing? And if I don't like doing it, I'm either ditching it, or I'm rebranding it, or I'm readjusting it, or I'm changing whatever needs to be changed to make me want to do it.
Right.
Because it's more important to share your story, share your thoughts. It doesn't have to be, for example, filmed in a specific way.
Right.
Unless that's your creative passion. If it's talking to the camera, it's like, well, just talk to a fucking camera. You don't need 4K. You don't need, like, just record. Don't let that be what's inhibiting you from taking those reps to bring it back around. It was a long-winded way of just bringing it back around to what you were saying. You have to do reps to figure out what works. And you're not going to know what you like to do because you might think you like something. You start doing it. Fuck, I hate, like with all my content, a lot of that stuff is filmed in a very similar manner because I have things to say about different things. But if I'm setting up the camera, it takes time. And a lot of people do one fucking video a day or one video every few days.
Right.
And part of me is, man, a little bit envious. At the same time, I could easily do that. I just don't want to do it that way. I like doing volume. I like comparing. The message I'm trying to send is with a specific intent. Every single video, every single style of content is done for a reason, which is why everything is coherently branded. I don't just post. I don't post random. I don't post random videos.
Right.
It's always a playlist. It's always a show. It's a theme. It's done a certain way because of the reps that I've done. I've realized what avenues are important to make my content invulnerable. The way I film, what allows me to execute and take those reps, which is one of the biggest things. A lot of people they get stuck doing a certain level of quality and it slows them down. It has to be whatever it is. It has to be fucking fast, no matter what the content is. Any type of, like my setup, I just bring down the shotgun mic and I turn this on. Everything is minimal steps. If there's a step that I can cut out, it's worth the investment to cut out one step. Right. Everything like this, the way we lay down the podcast, so it gets done.
And speed is only the point I was going to make to exclamation point. What you just said is speed is only beneficial when you've done what you did, which is you did the work on your nucleus, right? You have the 7 pillars. So it doesn't matter if you had 97 and a half shows, they would all go back to the nucleus of your 7 pillars, which means you've now established a base to where as civilization, as technology, as culture advances, right? You just get to participate in different ways of telling your truths, but your truths aren't going to change. And so, you did the foundational work. And I think that's what people don't understand is constant. Like we say all the time, constants and variables, like science. What is science? Constants and variables. What is classification? Constant variable. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, people have lost their identity and fractionally placed it into all of these different places, which is why they have a hard time getting it back, and understanding that, holy cow, like, I'm in complete control of everything that I do. Like, I have to follow certain, like I can't just go outside and just start punching people and, stabbing them or whatever. But it's like, I can literally wake up and do almost anything, go almost anywhere, broadcast almost anywhere, publish almost anywhere. Right. And it's like, so what do you need to do in order to make that beneficial? Right. Linking arms, Red Rover. It's like, what is your center? I'm not saying everybody has to have a moral compass. I'm not saying anybody has to be religious. I'm not saying anybody has to have a spiritual practice. I'm not saying anybody has to be as disciplined as you are in fitness and all that kind of stuff. What I am saying is you need to know what your truths are. Like I know, I can recite your truths almost. Like, what I'm saying? It's like, so that it's sticky. So the reason why I wanted to mention that point off of your whole comment about vision is because vision looks different to everybody. For you, vision is I know my truth and I creatively tell it in all of these different ways and I serve my community. For other people, it's, I want to be a doctor and eventually open a practice. For me, it's, okay, I want to have the media capability to tell my truths and also put other people on who are better at telling my truths and their truths than even I am, right? So I'm creating an environment where I can do that, but also and this is like a punchline I want to say earlier, the most beautiful gift that you ever gave me when you were here, like I said in I think episode 1 or 2, is do it for you. And I know that sounds cliche, but the way you presented it was King Darius is not going to change, right? So if you build around that, if you build into that, and that that's your, like, and you already said, if your wife wasn't here, if your kids weren't here, what would you be doing, right? Because there's a very real reality where that could happen. Now, I'm not going to speak anything to existence or whatever, but it's like, what I'm saying? Like it's
true every day. It is.
Right.
It's still true. It's
so
still true.
If we're autonomous, if we are ourselves, if we have individuality, even in relation, even in community or whatever, it's like, how do we maximize on that? You build around you, but you can't build around you if you don't know your identity. And this is why I believe a lot of people who aren't in the Swole community have a hard time sticking with crap is, yes, 7 pillars and all that kind of stuff, but even before 7 pillars, they don't even know themselves. So they don't value themselves enough to even care to give themselves pillars, or to even care to, yes, you see what I'm saying? So it's like, part of it is people have to know, I am worth waking up and doing stuff for myself today. And that's important. You know what I'm saying? And therefore, I'm going to tell those stories. I'm going to share with people, whatever, but I'm going to not allow these things to like blow me and shift me left and right. So that's just kind of like my take on it is, I finally find my groove because you told me shave the fat off all that other crap you're trying to do and be yourself every day in a speedy way.
That's what people are deluding themselves to. They're pretending that their self-care and their self-love means escapism. They're pretending that they, like, again, this comes down to the binge eating and the escape to food and to drugs and alcohol, in terms of they're escaping rather than actually caring for themselves and pursuing. They're not investing.
Right.
When you invest in yourself, now you don't have to be the most fit person, but you definitely have to be healthy and alive to enjoy painting pictures or building a fucking chair, right? Am I right?
Right.
A fucking chair. Yeah, that's an inside joke. So if you're not building something for you, and most people don't know who they are, you want to find out more about yourself, start making content.
Yep.
Start figuring out what you like to talk about. People like us, I don't have any interests. Well, that's disgustingly pathetic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. In 2020, you don't have any interest. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
That's like, you should be ashamed of not giving yourself, what do you mean your interest? If you watch a lot of Netflix, then you like watching Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So start a show where people have review channels. You like to watch. If you love movies and you really like critiquing them, then fucking do movie reviews. People fucking love watching what someone else thinks of a movie.
Yeah. Behavioral marketing, bro.
But being yourself. So that's what most people don't realize when it comes to brand. They think it's going to be a billboard. No, you just have to put yourself out there, because one thing that no one can do, no one can be me. No one's going to be me in the same way. So what I do is, because no one can be me in the same way, what do? I be me. No, but I be me in 30 different ways. So I split myself up, and I'm a different me on different shows and different structures, and I have different ways of creating. So it makes my Papa Swolio brand. It's like, no. There's 50 layers of that in itself.
Yep.
So it's just more and more structure. It's kind of like having this really light, thin, almost atomic particle, but because it's like meshed a certain way, it's the strongest. It's the strongest material on Earth, because it's like a mesh at a molecular level.
Yep.
And you have like, why is this titanium or this so freaking light, but it's the strongest it can hold a building? Well, it's because of the little network and honeycomb type of structure. That's what I do. I don't have one page. I have 5 Instagram pages and 5 YouTube channels I'm posting to every day.
Yeah.
And and those reps get you better at figuring out about yourself, figuring out what you're best at, because you need to do whatever you love and do it on the topic that you love and you enjoy. But you also have to figure out how you like to communicate that, whether it's a blog or whether it's video or audio.
Yeah.
I do everything for a reason, because I like doing everything. I'm good at doing it all these different ways. And plus it's insurance. But one of my favorite quotes, content is king, context is God.
Yep.
And that's it. I know you love that shit.
That needs to be the title of the episode.
That's it. I think that might be a Gary V quote. That might be
Is it?
It might be, or maybe he pulled it. It's true no matter what.
Yeah.
So the content, more is always better. Mm-hmm. But there's that balance between quality and quantity. But I think people, they put too much pressure on quality because they see people at the top of their game and they think, oh my God, there's so much out there. Come on, think about 2016 when I started Swolenormous. Think about the fitness industry online then. It was as saturated as it's not much more saturated now than then. It was equally, like, for the ability to break into it. 2016 to now, there's no difference. Mm-hmm. There's more people online. Yeah, but there were just as many on then that were doing fitness.
Right.
You think 100 million versus 300 million make a difference? Really, at that number, it's not any more noisy. It's just, the cream's going to rise to the top, but people aren't individualizing themselves. And this will ramp into like the next kind of topic, because that's why I don't do a lot of front-facing fitness content.
Yeah.
because it's commoditized as fuck. And it's boring. It's boring for me to think about just having more like, this is how you bench press. Put your elbows here at 90. Get the fuck out of here. There's a billion videos. If you don't know how to bench press, you're not ready for my content.
Right.
Like, this is not like fitness 101. This is like, wake the fuck up. Those are the least important things.
Right.
They're important, but you learn them once and then you know how to bench press. You don't need to keep on reading and talking about it. Some people are just, it's fine for that to be your thing. It's just commoditized. You can have, there's a million people that know how to instruct a bench press. No one else knows how to rage in a fucking, no one else can DWG. Get the fuck out of here. Try it. That's my shit. That's my shit. So it's this idea that,
and see that. So right there, just a real quick exclamation point on that, because that really ties in your last section. Imagine somebody trying. It would be obvious you were the dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like you said, nobody can be you. So if anybody took pre-workout and raged in the car on topics,
let them do it. Right?
It would be kind of flattering because clearly it's coming from you. And B, it's like, it could never take away from you as the source. However, if you were mimicking other people, you may find the most creative way to say, here's how you do a bench press. You got 7 red cameras. You got angles that people have never thought of. You've got you've got like,
there's always room. There's always room.
You've got thermal, imaging. So you can see your muscle, like whatever. And then somebody's going to have a $100,000 budget and do it just a little bit better than you or whatever. Do it like, bro, just, so anyways, I just want to exclamation point that because DWG is how I found you.
That's why a vlog is so simple. That's why a lot of people think, oh, why would I film? There's so many vlogs out there. Yeah. But there's only your vlog is the only one about you. And again, it's no one else knows your life. It's an interesting take because if you did a vlog, you might think it's boring because it's the same place every day. Well, I mean, it's different for someone else. It's always, they have their own life that they're escaping from. They want to watch your shit. And, again, when it comes to layering, when it comes to doing your own content, that's why we have Swole TV. I do my vlogs privately for the members.
Right.
And the Swole fan, we're in there and I'm vlogging and I'm doing the raw content. I'm going live in there and I'm texting. It's like, you have to have layers, but most people don't look at their content that way. They don't think of it as a business and a structure.
Right.
There's a very big difference between how I use social media than most people do. So most people are wondering, well, how do you create so much content? Or how do you do this without going insane? It's because psychologically, I have a huge separation between my personal life and what I do online.
Right.
And creating that kind of insulation, I don't want to say delusion, but it's just this kind of split personality where I have the online and I compartmentalize. I don't take anything personally. I know people make videos and people say they hate my beard or they think I'm a lunatic or they think I'm super strict or I pissed someone else off because I called them fattets. Dude, even if I did Disney level content, you're going to have thumbs down. No one's going to like it. Everyone's going to, and that's a famous like Ricky Gervais. He goes, I don't give offense. You're taking it. He goes, I said something. He goes, if you don't want to be offended, he goes, then don't take offense.
Yeah.
In other words, like, then don't take it then and just leave the offense over here. You don't have to take it. And it's true. You don't have to get your feelings hurt. Like I love Savage comedy. I love George Carlin. I love Anthony Jeselnik. I love this, the dark, the dark humor. That's like almost the kind of humor you're like, oh shit.
Yeah. You like look around like, dang,
no, you don't want to laugh, but you can't help it. And everyone's like, it's great humor because if you can make something that's really a serious issue and make it funny,
right,
then there's fucking hope in this world.
Yes. And
tying this all back into what's going on now, these movements that are going on, there's no humor there, bro. It's so fucking scary.
Yeah.
You notice how even with the stuff that I cover with the health at every size or fat acceptance and this, all these extremely militant posts, there's no humor. There's no room for even a smile. These are just fucking miserable people and it's a miserable mindset. There's no humor, which just makes it so fucking evil. Yeah. It's under this veil of compassion, but those are the most violent people. You're not one of us. Fucking, and if you're vilifying people to the point of not even looking at them as human, just like white supremacists or like male pigs or cops are fucking evil. Mm-hmm. Guess what you can do when you dehumanize someone enough? You can genocide. Mm-hmm. If you dehumanize someone enough, you can eradicate them from the earth. And it's always under a veil of compassion. It's always under a veil of be one of us, or don't you want to like help people in this? But then you're not pious enough. You're not supportive enough. You're not outspoken enough. So then it's like tiered. Again, it's that internal separation. It's that internal hierarchy that they create what they're trying to argue against and fight against the hierarchy and the power structure. And then they're creating it themselves.
Right.
This is literally, I mean, for anyone that has read Animal Farm, it's not 1984. It's an Orwell book, but it's Animal Farm. It's the classic takeover, this classic Russian, their whole like history with dictatorships. Okay. And it's brilliant, but it uses animals. And it talks about how it starts off with like all animals are equal, get rid of the humans. And then over time it becomes all animals are equal, but some are more equal than others. So it's like no, dude, it's a brilliant book. You would enjoy it. But you can see the transition. I still
want to read 48 Laws.
Oh, bro, that's my favorite book.
Yeah, and it's funny because when you're talking to me, I can always hear principles that I haven't read the book, but I can almost assume they come from.
Dude, I have every single card. I have it on I read it every night, and Mama Swolio got me a hard copy, and she inscribed it, and she wrote on the inside. She bought me like a hard copy, which are really hard to find.
Yeah,
that's she nice, said. Man. So yeah, and it has, bro. There's one I can go grab my Kindle. There's a great quote. Anyway, but right, it's all there. It's all broken down. And when you read the laws of power and how you actually can leverage it and how people go after it, you can see it's textbook.
Yeah.
You're watching it in slow motion and going to like what's happening over in Portland. Those are previews. That's into the future. That's where it goes. Mm-hmm. And it's this whole weird thing about overthrow the system. You know, these people are bad, us against them, which is just, it makes no sense. You're creating this false narrative. And that's what this cult is about. And that's what this approach in this, group psychosis is about.
Yeah.
It's, you create a common enemy, so you have that forward movement, but the movement itself is so dissociated, there's no real coherent outcome.
Right.
Which is scary because you're busy tearing shit down. Crime rates are going up because police departments and things are being defunded. It's like, you do realize, and this is what we talked about yesterday, that if you're defunding police, there's gonna be more instances of police brutality because you're decreasing the amount of cops on the street. You're decreasing the amount of, access they have to better training. So there are going to be more mistakes. There's going to be more violence because they're going to have to compensate for not having enough resources, and just more shit is going to happen, unfortunately. And then it's going to fuel that argument to like, see, we were right. It's like, well, no, you have to have peace and you have to have security so we can rebuild.
Yeah, either that or eventually they're just going to make technology decide it.
They're allowing riots in the fucking street and people's businesses are getting extorted and destroyed. And they're like, cops, like, stop this fucking shit so we can open our businesses. Like, they're allowing it in Portland. They're allowing businesses to get destroyed and they're not stopping it.
Yeah.
It's super, super scary, and but there's so many distractions.
Yeah. And it's only going to get worse. I mean, at the end of the day, kingdoms have existed since humanity has existed, and we may have came up with better names, better systems, better ways to do it, better tools, whatever, but we're never going to stop trying to conquer each other, try to get above a different, like, it's just, that's why this thing is one of those things where it's like, it's only going to progressively get worse. And the only solution with the common enemy is, the lunch lady concept. Like they say in the office, it's like, oh, he's looking out his office window at all the people finally like getting along. He was like, it's how you make the students behave. You make them all hate the lunch lady. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's the same concept. Hate the lunch lady. Everybody gets along at recess and lunch or whatever. So it's like, I just think it's, again, like, I don't think enough people know their identity and truth enough to just like, okay, you hear something like that, you're either going to overcompensate and want to overcorrect it and over, or you're going to want to recluse and not be a part of it. And, which is equally, so it's like these two, it's like, no, exist like in the middle. It's a hard balance to achieve, but I know that I've lived both extremes. I know plenty of people who've lived like many extremes of that. And it's like, I don't think people calibrate enough. I don't think people are aware of themselves enough. And it's just like, that's why you can just, I don't want to sound like a beating a dead horse or whatever. I just think it's really, people are blown by the wind on everything that happens. Like, literally something can happen in the news and your entire week can just go to shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, why? because you are not stable yourself. You're not mentally stable. You're not financially stable. You're not like relationally stable. You're not community stable. You're not free thinking. So it's like literally eventually caged animal concept, like you said, whatever you want to call it, they're going to eventually treat us like that. And with technology getting involved, what eventually an algorithm is going to run whether or not your opinion is correct or actually beneficial to humanity or whatever. And it's like, that's going to be what's policing us eventually, or allowing us into certain marketplaces, or allowing us to go into certain communities and places and whatever. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so we're going to behave ourselves into shit that's not going to be beneficial for us. And then we are going to be cage animals essentially. And all they have to do is create a reward system for these things. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we're already caged animals. I mean, I was meaning that, but definitely read that book. That book, Animal Farm.
Animal Farm.
Yeah, you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
But we're emotionally caged. Imagine how upset you would be. Imagine not knowing. Yeah, I think knowing your identity. I think a lot that gets thrown around a lot. Like, how do you really know? I think I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
To a point, like, because you're developing and your way of thinking. But so many people that don't know their identity, what do? They play identity politics. They go surface rather than go deeper. And this is where brain gains and meditation and things, if you go deep with yourself and you look in and you work on yourself, then you're actually going to, one, not pay attention as much to what other people fucking do.
Right.
And when you know who you are, you're going to be more accepting of other people because you went through that process of, oh, I understand what it's like to work on myself, and you understand where people are maybe in their journey, and you can hear their, it reflects on you. Oh, I remember when I was there. Oh, I remember when I was, working through that myself. And everyone's going to have their own process of that.
Right.
But when you don't know your identity, what do? You do surface level stuff. Are you black? Are you white? Are you Asian? Are you tall? Are you short? Are you fat? Like, does that really fucking matter? Yeah, obesity is a real fucking issue and it kills people. Why are we arguing about that? Like, why is that subjective now? Okay, it's bad to be morbidly obese. Let's eat like, if you eat healthier and it won't be a problem, and then this won't be an issue. But people want to perpetuate the issue because then that's part of their identity. They start posting online, fat positive, rather than change. This is what I always say: rather than change your lifestyle, just change a hashtag. You don't got to change. Just use a different hashtag, and boom, now you're on top of the food chain. Now you're all righteous. Now you're all pious. Now you have an entire community behind you. Now everything's wonderful because you start using the fat acceptance hashtag, or you start using body positive. You don't have to change your lifestyle. That's way too challenging. That's way too many things to work on. All you got to do is just, boom, 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 join a Facebook group, start posting this kind of stuff, and then you're loved. Yep. And so it's, people use that, and that's not really identity. That's that's like, it's just a little, it's an excuse. It's you're outsourcing your identity to these types of intersectional, like, social politics. And it's you're and that's what you're seeing. You're seeing everyone identify. It's kind of like vegan or CrossFit, how you have that kind of like clique. Yeah. But it's more than that. Those were kind of like jokes. Oh, the CrossFit cult or vegan. Okay, but it's very similar to the way vegans are. So CrossFit is more of kind of a joke, even though it's real. Right. So people that like to go CrossFit, people like to do Orange Theory, people like to do, but that's not who you are. However, people use the term CrossFitter because you associate a certain stereotypical personality with who does CrossFit. You wear certain things, you drink certain shakes, you train a certain way, you talk a certain way. People joke about it because you know how someone does CrossFit, they don't shut the fuck up about it, right? Right. You know who's a vegan because they don't fucking stop talking about it. Now, if you're a vegan, for example, if you're a vegan, why would you just nonstop talk about it? Because you're making that your identity, who you are. You are a vegan. Why do you think so many people suffer on that diet? Because that becomes who they are. They can't change. They keep trying to make veganism work for them rather than think, okay, what is best for me? Does it lead me down that road? How do I take care of me? Right. They try to virtue signal before and try to fit a square peg into a round hole. And it doesn't fucking work. But so many people try to force it. Some people can pull it off. A lot of people can't, but they keep on trying until it really affects their physical health. Right. Mental health and all this kind of stuff. And again, carnivore is not for everyone. So people try to force themselves because they're lost. They don't grow up with any real identity. They didn't grow up with a lot of coherence. They grew up in a noisy world. We don't have, again, the brand of America. How many people grow up with the brand of America? You grow up with a cell phone. You grow up with the brand of the world, which is fucking whatever marketing wants to shove in your fucking face, whatever the public news or the loudest influencer. And people are just so fucking distracted.
Yeah.
Right? Epstein didn't kill himself. The fuck, man? No one pays enough attention. But I'm saying there's so many different things that are real that are going on, but you're distracted by whatever fucking Jeffree Star or Shane Dawson. People ask me, I know the name. I don't even fucking know, because there's too much shit. There's too much information.
Right.
There's too much information. People are holding today people accountable for what they said 10 years ago, for what their ancestors did 500 years ago. It's like, get the fuck out of here. I barely know what happened yesterday. And if you're blaming X, Y, and Z on Trump, like, whether you like him or hate him, he's only one dude. I mean, I can barely get my shit done in a day. You think one person can worry and handle every fucking thing in everyone's life in the country every day? Get the fuck out of here.
Right.
It's impossible. So guess what the answer is? You have to stop outsourcing responsibility to one dude in fucking Washington. Yeah, there are certain policies that can affect your personal life, but how many federal policies affect your personal life on a daily basis?
Right.
Like, how many? It's usually local government. It's a lot of things here. There can be big immigration things. I'm no expert, but you know, how much do national or global politics matter day to day? With technology, I mean, could be a cyber attack. I mean, literally with China in your pocket, with TikTok, it does affect you more day to day, but just with the shit that people distract themselves with, there's just so much information. There's more than ever has been. And if you don't have discipline with your social media and you don't separate yourself enough to be a free thinker, you just get wrapped up and you lose yourself, or you don't know who you are. So you attach onto these ideas because you need community. And especially when we have the social distancing, people are completely separated. And I heard a great quote on a podcast yesterday. It shouldn't have been called social distancing because humans are so social. It's fucking people up thinking that way.
Right.
It should have been physical distancing, but social connectivity with the internet.
Right.
The messaging, the branding, or was the branding on purpose?
Right.
Because you distance people socially, you're going to fuck them up mentally. What do? Drugs keep people control, or you're doing it on purpose because it'll incite violence, and you know how to start riots. We know how to start riots. We know history. We know French Revolution. We know Russia. We know all these different, we know how this stuff works. We know how to create it. We have blueprints of how to fuck up cultures and how to fuck up. We know how to fuck up a government. We've seen it. We have records of it. So why are we letting history repeat itself? Why is no one talking? Because if you allow the fucking peons to piss and fight over themselves, you're going to get distracted until the next election cycle, where you're going to distract people from what actually fucking matters. And that's what they're doing. That's why this argument isn't against the rioters. They're not protesters. They're fucking rioters. That's why there's no coherent argument, because if you leave the chaos, there's enough distraction. There's too much distraction, man. You're getting fucking shotgun blasted with shit nonstop. And like, that's another reason why we're talking at the beginning about how Instagram is like, I barely post stories. I moved all my apps to a second screen on my phone in a folder, and I barely open them. I just forget to post on TikTok. And I see, you know, when it used to be I'm posting to gain followers, and I'm like, I just don't care. And I don't want to not use a good opportunity, but at the same time, I almost think it's a sign that it's what's really important to me. Is it important to me to have another 100,000 followers on TikTok, or do I need to focus on what I enjoy doing and how I enjoy communicating? Because the world doesn't know who they are. People do not know who they fucking are, man. And that's one thing that by creating content, you can find out what you like if you do it with the intent of being authentic and helping people. And that's what I've done. And that's why I have all those different avenues to post, because I'm a different person. I have a lot of different interests, and I don't like pigeonholing myself. So,
and what are people not doing when they're focused on all this shit? They're not becoming better. They're not becoming healthier. They're not having healthier relationships and community. They're like literally all of the 7 pillars are ignored when you're focused on every single other person and other subjects and other cultures and other, like, it's like, why Why did the whole world, and this is going to sound weird coming from a black dude, and I have a whole theory on this. I know it's not the time, place, whatever, but it's like, what do people in the UK doing for me here in America by standing in the street? Like, what was Parliament going to come over here and be like, Trump, or like, what, like, and again, I understand, I understand, right? I understand all of the sentiment, the empathy, the standing with each other. I get theoretically.
So just to set the stage, you mean like other countries protesting?
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, I just don't think there's enough accountability for the way that we behave, not only in the US, but just like culturally, like around, like nobody's accountable to themselves, but we're all trying to be accountable to each other for literally
holding other people.
Yeah, there you go.
Us. Yeah.
Right. And so it's just like, again, it's like, okay, I would have a lot more, and the reason why I think such great quantities of people have like deep respect and advocacy for you is just because it's like when you're unshakable and then you talk about things that are external, you know what I'm saying? It's like you have a little bit more, the reason why you can listen to Joe, right? And honestly, again, and I think, again, people are waking up subconsciously because that's something that can't be controlled. Joe, for example, it's like, okay, I can listen to,
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I can listen to F and Nancy, on news channel 17 and a half talk about how Trump, whatever, or I can listen to Joe Rogan say the same thing with a trusted guest or a celebrity or whatever, because he's been consistent. He hasn't changed. He's always stuck to his truth. He's open to other people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so he's allowed to engage in these things without fully like intercepting or holding other people accountable or, it's just like, you can't fix history and you can't borrow stuff from the future. You have to live in the now and kind of create a now culture that allows you to have daily existence, because it's like, we've been fooled by time, bro. We have literally been fooled by time. We are hypothetically scared of what happened in our history, and like history repeating it. History repeats itself every second. 2 hours, 14 seconds, 18 seconds, 19 seconds, 20 seconds. We're still here. We're still here. We're still here. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like, at the end of the day, it's like, why can't people exist today? It's like, if I could be just like everybody else, wake up today, and before I'm even working on myself, my mental state, my health, my relationships, I've already worried about 34 other issues that I have zero control over, other than stating my uneducated opinion about. As if that's going to happen. Then I'm going to march in a street because somehow marching in a street turns into law. Like, get the hell out of they want you to do this stuff. They want you to, because it's easier to control you when you are not stable at the individual household level. You break up the household, and then inside of the household, you break up the mentality like of each individual. So they're fractionally focused on all of these things that they don't have control over. And then it's easier to control those people because you've brainwashed them to think that all of those things are actually making a difference because they're reporting the numbers, which is gamification. So for me, it's just like, who's to say that what's his name? Lou, whatever, Pearlman, whatever. Who's to say they're not Lou Pearlmaning or whatever the social networks and the news channels or whatever. So we think we're making a difference, and we think we're Team NSYNC versus Backstreet, or left versus right, or TikTok versus Instagram, or like whatever.
That's human. You're talking human nature, man. You're talking human nature. Does it matter? Does it matter what the technology or the communication is? As long as you have, again, that bias, that comfort, or that bias. All my content's biased. You know why? Because I'm saying it. It's based on my genetics, my brain, my experiences, all stacked up, my thought process in the moment. Right. A tweet or a video or this, it's so crazy how you can hold someone responsible for one thing. Did you hear the other day or yesterday, the day before, this announcer, the sports announcer, he broadcaster, like famous broadcaster, been around for, he said he used a slur against gay people, used the F.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
He used the F, but didn't know he was offline, but he's not didn't intend for people to hear, obviously. Didn't intend to hear, but said it on the air, got suspended, or he's like, I'm not saying it's a good thing, but but you make one mistake. In other words, burning down, canceling. This is just cancel culture. But how do you come back? You don't. One word, do you think one word, even if it's a slur, whether it's the N word, the F word, whether it's again, what's the next word that's going to offend people? Like God, I don't even know, because I'm really against any word being off limits. Like, why can some people say, like, if you can't say like, why can some people say the N word? And I know the reason why is like, we're taking it back and whatever the justification, like either a word can be said or it can't be said. And when you say you can't say a word, that's some scary fucking shit. That's authoritarian. You can't say that word. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Even if it's not.
Don't say Jesus Christ.
Yeah, right.
See what I'm saying? You see what I mean?
Absolutely. Fuck. Absolutely. So what's the difference between that? I'm not religious, but I say that all the time. Like, oh, Jesus, like, should I say Jesus or like everywhere? What? And the thing is, the target's always moving. So when again, the taking offense, if someone's getting offended by it, well, how do I know what I say today isn't going to offend you tomorrow and then you're going to cancel me tomorrow for what I said today?
Right. Cancel culture is like an infectious disease.
That's why I say that. Say everything now. Say it. Say it. Why do you think DWG is so offensive? I've said so many things on purpose because I've said it. What are you going to do? I've said it already. Yeah. I make enough of a fool out of myself. You can make a video of this fucking clown. I put salty sack on people's chins every day. Yeah. It's like, I've said it all. I've insulted as many people as I possibly can, aside from literally, I don't know, aside from saying something illegal or breaking terms of service. I've said it. I probably even broke it. Yeah. Who knows what I've done? I don't even know. I've done 5,000 videos. I can't remember half of them. Yep. But at the same time, I also have the ability to, because I created that whole framework, but I just can't, it's not fair the way people are holding other people accountable. You have to be accountable. You have to say what makes me happy. That's some scary shit. And that's that compassion. Aren't you? If you don't say this, or you're not like verbally anti-racist, if you don't follow this, if you don't use that hashtag, if you don't post a black square, if you don't do what we deem valuable, in other words, how anti-racist is anti-racist enough?
You can make a Smith video about
it's a valid question. Yep. Is it one post? Is it 10 posts? Do I have to talk about it do I have to use a hashtag in every post, or should I use 2 hashtags? Should I do hashtag BLM and hashtag end racism? Yeah. Like, and then 2's not gonna be, like, in other words, you start complying with what other people want you to do, which is what this is about. It's about power. And the problem is, you do have good intended people that got caught up in this and don't see it for what it is, but they're already trapped. It's too late. They already conceded. They already are on record. Because then now if they leave that, then they're seen as, now you're a racist because you posted this, and now you're not posting anymore. Well, how come you change your mind? Don't you support Black Lives? Like even the name of that organization, which is a Marxist organization with the capital letters, like the actual Black Lives Matter, like that movement is that's some intense shit. However, do Black Lives Matter? Lowercase letters? Who the fuck wants to well, I know, some people do. Some people like to eradicate. Like that's pretty extreme to think that someone just wants to eliminate. When you say, again, the whole idea, remember at the beginning, I know it probably still goes on, but if you say all lives matter, you're a racist. Right. It's like, stop capitalizing letters. Just talk about, do you think life matters? Yeah, let's not go around.
Take more prefixes out of it.
Can we not? Let's not kill people. All right, are we on the same page? Yeah, we are. Yeah. Cool. Now that we can move forward as adults with a conversation, everyone's like, "No, you said this. No, you said this, bro. Sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me."
You know how easy it would have been.
Words are the most violent fucking things today. You can't even say shit, and that's scary as fuck.
Yeah. You know, it would have been easy to do, to exactly like the last part of what you just said, is how about, like, imagine if COVID started, then the Black Lives Matter thing was about to happen, like same situation, the George Floyd's, the other case scenarios, all that kind of stuff, whatever. Imagine if immediately we all agreed that if you are a citizen and or a law enforcer, right? It doesn't matter who you are, what clothes you're wearing, all that kind of stuff. We are updating murder laws, violence laws, and whatever, and for the whole country, not for every. So if you're a citizen and you're killing other people, whether they're in your culture or not, you're hurting them. If you're a cop, you're like, so we're going to update that, because then if you put the threshold that everybody is accountable to the same law of, like you said, hey, can we all just agree not to kill each other, whatever? Let's make a law. Let's update and fortify the sophistication of those laws, so that way everybody's more safe. Everybody has some, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, versus
you're saying, what if, like, how about we think about it this way?
Yeah, imagine if all the energy from that point till now was focused on that versus focused on who's right, who's
right.
Because you know what I'm saying? Like it's almost like being in a science lab, and I'm literally coming up with this example that being in a science lab and like something happens, like we all get burned, there's a fire, whatever, and all that kind of stuff. And so we spend the next 7 months debating on where the compound came from and who was it. Was it the beaker? Was it the person who was at? Was it like all this kind of stuff? Was it the building and the institution that we're doing these science experiments under, whatever? Versus, hey, can we update the safety law so we don't keep burning ourselves inside the lab? You know what I'm saying? Like, because that would be great. Like, let's update the equipment. Let's, get, better. Like, let's research. Let's do a 90-day, pre-experiment window instead of a 9 day, so that we have more time to think through variable. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what you do when you're a solutionist. That's what you do when you're a pioneer. That's what you do when you're a trailblazer. Is like, hey, our system is, we can all agree that our systems, plural, are broken, right? Or not complete, or not in their full maturity, and need to somewhat evolve, right? I'm not saying any individual system. I'm saying just the systems we have set up right now. People are dying. People are mentally unstable. Like, there's so many issues that are happening to where it's like, can we have a collective forward, like, unity driven, like, agreement that we need to start? And I know we're kind of now talking about, government politics or whatever at a deeper level, but I'm just like, how long does this last? And you've kind of been talking about too, like, how long, like, am I going to be 50 and my daughter's gonna be like, yeah, we're still processing in the streets, and, we're still, they still haven't changed the laws, but now we have, like, half AI, half, defunded police salute. I'm just like, I can't even imagine what's going to come in the next 10 years if we don't realize that we're all shooting ourselves in the foot. Like, it's just stupid, I'm honestly starting to get, like, mad just thinking about it, because I'm just like, I'm raising kids in this shit.
It reminds me of a book, the book Rising Sun by Michael Crichton. It was about Japanese business. It was a movie with Sean Connery and Wesley Snipes, but I remember there was one part where he was saying Sean Connery's character had lived in Japan and had known, I don't know if this is in the movie or not, but that the American business or American culture is what's fucked up and who's to blame.
Right.
And that Japanese culture is what's fucked up, how do we fix it?
Right.
So in other words, like, solution. In other words, okay, what's going on? Again, the 7 pillars, it's going to the root of everything. What's really the problem? Is it the problem whether people do a flat press or an incline press? Is that really what's keeping people from getting results? Or is it, or eating healthy? Is it really counting calories? And is it really all these different macro? Or is it thinking about food differently?
Right.
It's not just mathematics, thinking about it from, how is this helping me? How is this fueling me? What are the nutrients? Like, thinking about the care of your body fundamentally. If you care about your body, you'll make different decisions. If you have consequences to your actions, you'll make different decisions. If you are thinking about food as your fuel, that's investing in your health, that's going to fuel your workouts and help you sleep better, you look at your choices differently. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are just, like you were saying, we're being distracted.
Yep.
We're being misdirected.
Yep.
And I mean, you just said so much, so it's really hard to, but the thing that spurred, that kicked up in my head, the number one thing was solve the problem. Right. And what you're also saying was, let's not burn this shit down. That's why the conversation went right to defund the police rather than, whoa. In any field, in any type of situation, where has or when has improving something ever meant less money?
Right.
And I've said that you have to invest. It takes more money, more training, better qualified people. We need constant negotiations, how you de-escalate situations, teaching cops how to do. This has been said many times on Joe Rogan's podcast. And this is actually a policy that Andrew Yang was talking about on his podcast months ago. And Joe talks about a lot. Talk about how every single cop should be a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. Why not? Why should a cop, you don't need 2 cops struggling with a suspect trying to like pin him down without using weapons. If you know jiu-jitsu, you fucking lock him up and it's over.
Yep.
You lock them up and it's over.
Yeah.
And chances are, if cops are going to be a purple belt, they're going to continue to get their black belt. You don't go that far, but it should be required because it's safer for the cops. It's safer for the suspects.
Yep.
Let's say they are innocent, but then they resist arrest like a fucking idiot, and then it goes through that. Like I don't blame people that might have been, prejudiced against from cops. Right. If you had terrible experience with the cops, how are you going to like cops?
Right.
I don't. It makes sense, right? If you grew up in a neighborhood where cops were really disconnected from the community and you had bad run-ins, why would you like them?
Yeah,
I'm not.
It's like people who don't like Walmart or Amazon, or whatever. You had a bad experience with them.
Right. You're like, it's a bad review. Why would you love? I love cops, but I hated this. A lot of people aren't thinking, okay, this is one person, and cops are people.
Right.
So, in other words, not to get that. I mean, it's you need more investment and more time.
Right.
So, but then I've mentioned this in some videos, and I see some of the comments that said, well, defunding. No, we have to defund the police. We need to spend the money other places on communities, and we have to take that money. But here's the logic. We spread it to schools. We do this. Oh, really? You mean you're going to have better schools, better communities with less safety? What are you talking about?
Right.
People don't want to say, hey, we have police brutality. Let's give more money. We have to restructure things. Let's make it better. But you can't build businesses if there's riots in the fucking streets. You can't have kids that are going to school if there are fucking gangs because there's no cops. And if you see the interviews, not what's covered on mainstream media, and you see people on YouTube, these individuals that are going to these neighborhoods, to like black neighborhoods, asking people, do you want to see? They're like, hell, fuck no. We don't want, like, literally it's to the point where you're laughing. And sometimes they're just like, are you fucking crazy? Like, no, we need more. I don't feel safe walking down the street. That's scary.
Right.
That's scary when you can't. So most people will say, and you'll think, oh, we want this. No. The minority that's the loudest says they want that. People that are in these neighborhoods, they want to be able to walk to the fucking corner to get on the bus without getting shot.
Yep. Ideally.
Yep. Or having their kid get fucking influenced by gang members or get harassed. Like that would be preferable.
Yeah.
And I'm very fortunate to not live in a neighborhood that's at risk of that, but I don't leave my house to walk the dog without my shit.
I mean, you know me, bro. I live in Chicago, so I keep my family safe is,
you're fucking Thanos, bro.
Yeah,
you're fucking Rottweiler, dude.
Bro,
you don't need a gun.
I was wrestling with him this morning, and even I looked over at Jordan. I was like, "You see this shit?" I was like, he could probably kill at least 6 people in a row without
100 pounds,
145, 150
right now,
bro. Yes, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Oh my god, he's fucking. God.
Bro, he's huge. He's huge.
No, because when I see him now, when I was up there, he was like 80 pounds.
Yeah, he was
big, but he was a lot more. He seemed a lot more hyper.
He's thick now. Like he
looks like a different fucking animal.
And then their jaw strength is like 1,000 pounds per square inch or something like that.
Is it more than a pit? I think, is it more than a pit bull? A pit bull's jaw locked, so it's different.
Yeah, they're the only thing that is stronger. There's like a German. There's like a German breed that has that's bred for like a stronger grip, and they have like a
T-Rex.
Yeah, but it's like literally like Rottweiler's like third out of like all,
and they're smart as shit too.
Oh, he's real smart. Yep.
I think they're like, every time you look at top 10, they're usually within the top 10 somewhere.
Yeah, he's extremely intelligent. It's been nice, but it's like, yeah, you protect your family. And I get it. Like people don't want to be shot. I don't care what somebody's wearing. I don't want to be shot. Like, I don't care if it's some dude with his, pants down, if it's a black dude, if it's a white dude, if it's an Asian dude, if it's a dude with a vest and a bullet. I don't care. I don't want a slug entering my body or my family's body. So like, for example, what you're saying about the whole police thing, I don't care who it is. You know what a good jujitsu, instead of taking 200, 300, 400 million dollars away from each state, how about we have federal regulations that, hey, at least 20% of your police funding budget has to go to specifically high class training in this area, this area, this area. You have to meet 80% of criteria in police training, whatever. The rest of the budget can be used for, personalized, state by state, county by county, whatever it is. But this, just add more, so again, the whole why burn it? Why burn infrastructure down? You don't start a business over every single time. That's one thing that I learned the hard way. You don't have to you don't have to shut operations down. You have to pivot. Just
Well, most.
Imagine, sorry, one more punchline. Imagine if every time a team in any sport had a losing season, they just literally, which they kind of do, honestly, they kind of do. But imagine if it was 100% just wipe it clean. Hey, we're taking away the owner's money. We're taking away whatever. And now the team's called, they're not the Warriors anymore. They're the Allegiance or whatever. And it's you still have to build infrastructure. You're still going to have to make sure they, it's the same thing. I don't care if we have a new community driven and user generated protection system. They're still going to need the same training. They're still going to so what?
You need to have a force that can, because there are bad fucking people. Period. End of story. They're going to be people that want to rape, murder, steal, cut corners, whether you have police, whether you have funding or not. You have less. All the crime rates are 5 or 10x already.
Right.
I think it was saying that I think Portland has the highest amount of murders this month. It's the highest. No, it's the highest.
That's how you know it's just getting bad when the window they're measuring.
It's the month. No, the biggest month in the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And New York City is off the charts. Fuck, it's so. I mean, the only thing if we have a solar flare, we're done.
Yeah.
I think there was something, and I forget if this was on the Rogan podcast, that there was a solar phenomenon in the late 1800s, I think in the 1890s, where there was a flare. It was essentially a flare where it looked like it was daylight at night.
Yeah.
Where people were reports, they were saying they were reading their newspaper in the middle of the night because it was so bright in the sky and everyone was outside. It was super bright. And they said that, the guy was saying that if that happened today, every transformer would explode, everyone. Jeez. Because there was no electricity then. It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And I think every transformer takes 2 or 3 years to build. So in other words, we would have no electricity, everything would just get fried instantly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's it gets to the point where you are so aware of the reality that you almost don't want to do anything. And it's another famous quote where it says, if the truth doesn't scare the fuck out of you, you're nowhere near it.
Right.
If you're not, holy fucking shit.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, so the more I think about the reality, it could be a super volcano any moment. It could be an asteroid impact. Aliens could fucking land. They've already admitted that all these spaceships, they have no idea where they fucking came from. And it's completely put out there. And everyone's, whoa, we're worried about this. And they're saying UFOs and aliens. That's why you see all those jokes, because the CIA or NSA was saying, yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
Whoa. Wait. How does that not get front page shit? Yeah, we have no idea where it came from. Excuse me. Question. What? So there's so many things that can go wrong at any moment.
Yeah.
Aside from you just dropping dead for no fucking reason, because you don't need a reason. Something just explodes in your heart. Boom. Oh, it's over.
Yeah.
Everything's on a string, so everything's a little weak facade. So the more you think about it, it can get you to the point of paralysis where you don't even want to do anything. What's the point?
Right.
So I kind of battle with that sometimes too, where I think it's important to have purpose. This is really important. I have to get this video up, and it's okay, wait, you only got one life. Do I have to be in here editing or doing this? But at the same time, I don't know. It's a whole different perception of purpose when you can't go anywhere, right? When you kind of think about mortality, and you think about your freedom, and you think about things and the thin sliver of a veil of society that lays on top of reality. and that crossover where the virtual world is infecting the real world. Because you go out and I go out down, if I went out down the street, you see people, man, I go out there, I go outside and I see, like, you read online, right? It's like the race and issues and all these, like, protests and stuff. I go outside, walk by people of all different races. I'm like, yeah, what's up, man? I just have like conversation, like, how you doing? Like people that are like doing like work outside, or guys in the building, Black, Asian, older, French, German. I'm like, I don't like, how you doing? I say hi to people walking past them on the street when I'm walking Papa Swolio.
Yep.
Like I've not been around anyone that there's no reflection of social media online. It's just weird when you separate it, but it's bleeding over.
Yeah,
it's infecting like a virus.
That was like a real smart thing,
ironically enough. But yeah, and I think there's some hope. I don't know, because the next generation grew up with this shit and can't separate it.
Right.
Because we're losing the generation of people, and it's always like that. The new kids, they don't know what it was like. But here's the crazy part: people don't know what it was like before technology. They literally don't.
Right.
They don't. They know what it's like to go on vacation. Mommy and daddy said we can't use phones for a week, and kids forget about it. They enjoy the beach, but then they come back and they're inundated with their environment. I remember where if you weren't home, you weren't home. You got to find a phone. You got to find a pay phone. You got to call collect and shit.
Yeah, geez.
Right. I mean, you want to leave a message. You weren't connected all the time. And then I remember when I was 10, I literally had the internet right when it started. I had AOL before there were even buddy lists. You had to look, you had to type in someone's name to see if they were online manually. And you paid by the minute. It was like $4 a minute. So you would write an email offline, sign on, send an email. It would cost you like $5 to send an email because it would round up to the nearest minute.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I remember having that initial transition into more connectivity. So I think that's another reason why I'm able to unplug, that unless parents are instilling that in their kids, you're like, it's really tough. I mean, you have girls with the social media and the rates of depression. You're homeschooling, which needs to be mandated. Anyone who cares about their kids, it's so hard to say that because some people just literally can't.
Right.
Fuck, you need to have as much control over your kids as possible, because if they're not interacting, dude, I remember, like, I mean, everyone remembers cliques and how emotional when you're in puberty. Can you imagine having that kind of backstabbing? Dude, school was terrible when you're 12, 13, 11. It's fucking brutal. Imagine having that plus TikTok and Twitter and kids just fucking bullying you when you get home. No wonder shit's so fucked up.
Right.
No question. Shit sucked when real life, but then it's over. You go home and you find like, you have peace.
Yeah.
But
so building off of that, like
build a fucking sandcastle.
I think that, and this is going to sound like really like futuristic and whatever, and it's not intended to be that way. But if you think in a weird sort of metaphoric, analogy type of way, it's almost like as technology advances, and how we communicate, pretend how we behave in connectivity is like almost like uploading your consciousness, right? So like, just like you would plug in a hard drive, plugging in a hard drive 5 years ago and 8 years ago and 10 years ago, when I first started doing video editing in 2009, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, if I had a hard drive from 2009 and I tried to upload like footage I'm shooting today, it would be like, everything would shut down, whatever. So it started with word of mouth, then newspapers, then radio, then TV, then internet, then all new modern versions of radio, TV, newspaper on the internet, right? Audio, visual, textual. So it's like what used to take 20 years to behave through career, through relationships, through cultural moments and all that kind of stuff, reporting in newspapers and reporting in radio, reporting TV, whatever, can happen in a split second. So literally something could happen. Somebody could get literally where you're at, in South United States or whatever. Something could happen down there. I would know about it all over every single one of my social platforms in a matter of hours, right? And so the life cycle of all of that's shrinking. And then, so what does that mean? Do I get to have 10 of those moments a week, a month? Like as I'm behaving, like I'm making content about my family, make content about culture, make content about this, whatever. It's like we're almost uploading our behavior and consciousness into the internet. So what I mean by that is I want to bring it back to generations, right? So what the generation, what's the generation above us? Baby boomers, right? So baby boomers were what took them to sort of behave in 20 years took us 10 years or 5 years. What took us 5 years is taking Gen Z, 3 to 2 years or 18 months or 12 months, what's taking them that by the time, they have kids in 5 to 10 years, depending on when they were born or whatever, the platforms, then it's like, wait, you're gonna have 5-year-olds on who are already running social businesses or 8-year-olds who are already internet famous. And so I'm just like how far does it go to where it's like we don't even get to fully live out our mental and biological lives?
No, you just really, not to cut you, I have to say this before I don't want to forget it. No, because you can run with this too. It was you have like the actual physical life generation, but the generation of technology is going so fast.
Yes.
So it's not hardware, because it's not hardware, it's software now, and software is just, you have that hockey stick of technology increasing. So you went from, oh, we have computers, we can make a phone call, we can see your entire life, we track everything, it's just literally running away. You're literally like holding onto a string at the end of a fucking comet, just like a rocket going to the moon, and you can't catch up. Yep. So in our lifetime, we're going to see a lot more shifts from this aspect and quicker. It's just the life cycle. Like you were saying, the news cycle used to be, there was a story that would go on it was a story of the year.
Yep.
Now you have, well, how many stories do you want in a day?
Right.
I mean, Twitter is just like fucking nonstop. It's whatever someone thinks. It's whatever what a bunch of people want to hashtag.
Yep. At
the same time, and it's trending, and there's news and there's entertainment. It's anything you want, anytime you want, wherever you want it.
Yep.
And it's very similar to, think about this. This could also be another layer. It has to do with, let's say you have unlimited money, Bill Gates money, fuck you money, Kanye West, just have so much money where you want to go to France, you want to go to Paris tonight. Right. So you literally hop on your jet and you go, and you're there in a couple hours. It's a choice. You don't have to schedule. You have that much money where it's just, what do you want to do? You could eat at any restaurant, drive any car, you could have any car, you could be anywhere, you could build any house you want anywhere. Like, what do you do? What excites you?
Right.
What could excite you? Why do you think people that really go this far with philosophy or thought, why do you think they sell everything? Because it brings no joy when you think about it. When you have so much, nothing means anything. Right. It's kind of like alcohol. You need that extra thing to get a bump. That's why you keep on getting more and more extreme. You need a bigger yacht. Well, I have 150. Well, I have 180. Oh shit, I want 200. It's stupid. It just gets to a point where it's ridiculous. So it's not about the money. It's about the information, the ease of access. You can look at anything, whether it's porn, whether it's entertainment. You have access to every movie. You don't even have to be, you can't wait till a movie comes out. Remember those days where there'd be a movie that you'd want to see and you get tickets early, or you're waiting in line and you go in and you can't wait. Now you have how many movies are released every day? Well, it's on Netflix. What about Hulu? What about Amazon Prime? What about Quibi or whatever fucking shit comes out next?
Yep.
It's just so much content. Nothing's exciting anymore.
Right.
So no content is exciting. Special effects and shit that are unreal or just like, oh, cool. So that's why part of that comes down and trickles down to stop trying to overproduce content. That's the boring shit. That's commoditized. Right. Virtual effects and Adobe After Effects. Adobe After Effects is commoditized. Everyone can do that now. Yep. It's like, what's unique to you? Because if you're just exposed to everything, there's always going to be a next level.
Yep.
And unless you're always chasing the next thing and trying to make it the next shocking thing, you better fucking double, triple, quadruple, quintuple down on what you like doing and create something different, which is why everything's about community. It's about the people. That's why fucking the Swole fam is dude, you go into the Swole fam group, like the most unbelievable shit. I share it all the time on the posts, like what people share and their success and their support. Right. There's nothing like it. Everyone that's in there and everyone that any of my family or friends or people that see that, they're like, dude, that group is fucking unreal.
Right.
It's insane. It's so support, like everyone, because it's finally a place where people can actually connect without any of the fucking shit.
Right.
Without the fucking scum. There's no crap around it. yeah, everyone has their own opinions. Everyone's different. Everyone has different goals. People have different political beliefs in there. It's like when you're in there, it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like everyone knows what I'm about. Everyone knows why I say what I say. Everyone knows like I'm trying to get a rise. And I have to, like anyone else, I got to battle for attention. But the intent of what I do, right? It's about what you do when you have attention. If you're just fucking trying to show people car accidents, you're gonna end up getting yourself fucking killed.
Right.
In that, emotional theory.
Yeah.
You have to get attention, but all right, it's like, hey, look at me, like boink, boink, boink with the camera. Yo, you're fat. And everyone's like, what the fuck? This fucking guy, he called me fat. And then you watch the video. Oh, he's telling me to take control of my life.
Yeah.
Oh, let me download this ebook. Oh, I kind of like this guy. He's the way, right? The intent was there.
Right.
Yeah, it was definitely going to insult people. A lot of people got their feelings hurt, but 95% of people fucking love that slap across the face because you don't get that enough.
Right.
So it's not because I'm a rude motherfucker. It's because if I put an arm around your, it doesn't get any attention. It doesn't get any attention. You got to fucking it's not even about being edgy. It's still what I feel, but it's definitely, obviously, it's what I feel that's turned up to 10.
Right.
It's like I'm editing the audio. I'm turning up the fucking decibels. I'm fucking jacking that thing up. It's like, cool, this is me. This is what I think. Let me just turn that shit up so everyone can fucking hear it in the back. Can you hear me in the back? There you go.
Right.
Welcome to the fucking Mancast. And then you drop it. So I totally agree, man. I totally agree. I think it's just everyone's so stimulated, and there's so much competition for that little 6-inch square. That's fucking it, man. Talk about when you're driving down the street. When you're driving down the street, there are billboards every couple, right? You see different billboards.
Yeah.
Right. If you're trying to advertise on the highway, right, there's competition, but you're on a phone. It's like, that's a tiny billboard.
Yep.
And you got to find your contextual ad or content that's going to fit into the flow where it's not going to piss someone off to the point where they're like, God, one thing that I fucking hate, bro, I've stopped listening to podcasts that I liked. I liked someone's mindset. I liked their intelligence. Mm-hmm. But then if you're in the middle of a fucking podcast and if you're going to do an ad break in the middle of your audio, like when they read themselves, if you're going to read an ad, you best fucking make sure that it's contextual. Right. Don't you dare. This one guy was fucking doing this scientific, we're talking about astrology or some shit. Right. Not astrology, but like astrophysics.
Yep.
And it was good. And all of a sudden started talking about like cat litter. Like, does your cat litter? And I'm like, oh, get the fuck out of here. I turned no fucking way.
Right.
Are you serious? Do that first. If you're going to do bullshit ads, do it first so I can skip it.
Right.
Don't fucking interrupt the flow. At least make it about a telescope or some shit. Make it about, masterclass, right? Hey, yep. you can check out these masterclasses, learn how to, astronaut from, those ads, right?
Yeah.
Hey, to learn X, Y, and Z on this free course on how to become and go deeper with this series. Fine. All right. I get it. You got to pay the bills. Don't fucking break the experience by giving me bullshit.
Yeah.
It's an insult. It's like, how dare you fuck my ear holes with this? Like your attention and your ability to hold someone's audience. Again, why I like live streams with all this shit. And we're talking, never before has there been not a lot of content, bro. There's not a lot of content. There's unlimited. There's endless content. There are millions and millions and millions of trillions of fucking bytes and pieces of content online. The fact that they're looking at yours, you better deliver something. You better get your message across, which is another card I have on the wall.
Yeah.
If you have a point to make, drive it home with a fucking pile driver.
Yep.
It said something like, if you have a point to make, don't hammer it in, use a pile driver. It's like, that's why every video is like a slug across the face. So you might have watched 100 of my videos. All right, you've heard this before. You're gonna be entertained. You're gonna be like, yeah, this is what I come to like. Someone else sees it for the first time, they're gonna get slapped across the face. Not every video is for, right? You have to do both. So how do you give your audience what they want? How do you entertain people? How do you develop a relationship with an audience member, with a fan, with someone that's watching your videos, but still keep it contextual for someone who's seeing it for the first time? Right. So you're always, every time you make it, and most people don't understand that, every time you're making content, someone's seeing it for the first time and someone's seeing it for the 1,000th time.
Yep.
So how you keep both people, and that's one of the skills that I've picked up from teaching. teaching in a cyclical school where I would have someone that has been in the program for 10 weeks sitting next to someone who's first day.
Right.
So it was the school was, it was a for-profit school, but we had the best sections for preparing people. It was a fitness education. It was a personal training to get certified NASM and to teach people about anatomy, kinesiology. And it was all that. It was like a 9-month course. It was literally top to bottom, fucking get you completely ready to be a personal trainer.
Right.
And I had to teach people in the same classroom, people that had been there for 2.5 months at the same time, day one students. And guess what? A lot of them had English as a second language.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Like they barely spoke English. So I was teaching people fitness, anatomy, kinesiology, personal training, new students and 3 months in students that have been hearing about and doing hands-on for 3 months. And some of these people barely spoke English.
Yeah.
So that's why I've mastered, I don't say mastered, but that's why I have so many analogies. That's why I can explain things on different levels to different people. That's why my content touches, I grew up with my grandparents and my parents and grandparents raised me on old movies and black and white movies. That's why I have connections with all different generations. And that's why my culture, and it's just using my experiences and being me, but how do you talk to people and how do you share that? But that's how you stand out.
Yeah.
And it's identity. It's knowing what you're good at and it's fucking doing it. And like going back to what you said before about reps, do it. I don't know what to talk about. Cool. Figure it out. Film it and put it online. Oh, but what are people going to say? They're probably going to give you shit or they're probably going to like it. You're going to get a lot of both. So what? It's amazing how people internalize that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't like it either. So I don't look at it. Or I look at it and I laugh, or you just have to almost ignore positive and negative. You have to be very disconnected because if you let it in, it's going to eat you up. It's going to get you hooked. It's going to get you trying to post shit for that. And it's hard because when you're posting things online, I know I'm jumping around, but you want to do it for the views because that's really what's showing you, oh, it's working. You're using the algorithm properly. You're doing something that's getting reach. Your audience is liking it. You're getting subscribers. So you have to look at that and like try to get that because that means you're getting the message out. However, you have to separate that from this is the value of your content. This is how people perceive it because a lot of my videos that don't get the most views have the most impact. You look at the comments, it's like, oh my God, this changed my life. I needed to see this. It's, usually the videos that get the least amount of views that have the greatest impact.
Yeah.
In many ways, because it doesn't trend. It's not flashy content. It's not a name dropping where you're ripping on someone. It's, here's a story that really helped out X, Y, and Z. It's just weird. It's this battle between satisfying yourself, making sure you're not making something for your ego, right, and that you're separating the analytics from your the perceived analytics. Yeah, because it's important to look at those numbers and those metrics to know if you're growing as a brand or if you're doing shit right. Maybe you need to change your tags or the titles or tweak the thumbnail. Right. At the same time, you can't value yourself based on those responses. And it's a very hard thing that I constantly go through. I'm looking like, oh, fuck. And then I'm looking and then I say, oh, fuck, it didn't do this or did that. I thought I was going to do better. And then right after that, I'm like, stop fucking worrying about whether it did better or it didn't do better. So I'm like I'm pissed off at that. And I'm pissed off myself for getting pissed off at that. It's a very short real cycle. Yeah. It's a very it all happens like in an instant where it's like, me smacking myself for smacking myself. And you just never know. You never know what people are going to like, but most people never find out because they don't fucking execute, bro. Execute more, do more, post it, fucking put out there. Right.
What are most people doing on Friday, August 21st? Probably winding down for the week and getting ready to disconnect from their week of disconnecting.
You think they're dropping a 3-hour podcast before they do a 2-hour podcast? like this guy? I haven't done the daily yet. Yeah. We've been here for 3. We're going to take some questions in a little bit for members, but yeah, I mean, we always smashed on a Friday night. I'm usually doing work on a Friday. It's right. It's another day, man. Right. Right. It's another day.
Another day in the office.
People aren't fucking working. People want to unplug. They want to escape. People are already escaping. That's why I understand. I don't understand why people don't want to put effort in. If there's ever a time to be like, shit, I need to build something now. It's fucking when you see that the whole world can stop whether you want it to or not, you better fucking have an online presence. You better fucking do that shit. And a lot of people are trying to play catch up now, man.
Right. And it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. It's too late. I don't. Well, it's not too late.
It's not too late.
It's never too late. That's a terrible thing.
It's too late to do it the way that it's been done. Like, and what I mean is, like,
it takes time to build.
Right. And if you're going to try to do, because that's the thing, like, even with the life cycle of information is like people trying to do online now are likely reading and consuming and listening and watching all of the information that has been put out for the last, 3 to 7 years, which some of that's archaic, some of it's out of date, some of it's, biased, some of it has a certain perspective. And it's like, so now you're essentially part of the reason why, back in conversation, why history repeats itself is because we're gleaning from information that was not originally intended for us, or with the context of why we would use it or how we would use it. So it's literally like, so that's why it's like, if you can't figure out today, then what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, if you can't figure out I really think it still comes back down to like self-actualization of your now existence. Because it really does not matter. Like, I mean, you could play catch up. You could start now. You could, do what you like. I still relish over the fact that and I know it sounds weird, but I just literally mean on like an online perspective, like 5 years ago, because it's getting longer now. So it's like 5 years ago or 6 years or whatever. It's like Swolenormous did not exist. What do people not understand?
Did not exist. It was what, March, April 2016 is when I first started. Like, I had the Instagram handles when I first started the pod. Yeah, it didn't exist. And like, all you gotta do is go back and watch the first couple of videos and watch how rough around the edges, look at the content. And it's fun to leave it up there. I look at it. Hey, look, here's proof. I had an iPad and a Samsung Galaxy S6, which I still fucking use.
and so what I mean now is like, that's your truth.
Oh, fuck.
But guess what everybody else's truth is going to be when they're looking at their time hop in a year and 2 years and 3 years and 4 years and 5 years. They're going to eventually realize that all I effing did for years was bicker and argue and debate. And did I make any change, or do I feel better about myself 5 years later, 6 years later?
They're the same shit.
Hey, bro, so why you have 15, 2,000, 3,000 episodes of your podcast, they're going to have 3,000 episodes of them being a fucking asshole. You see what I'm saying?
That's a great point. Cause I see these on Facebook where it said, bro, this happened. It's so funny that you said that. I got this image in my brain, cause the other day it said, like, it was one of those 5 or 6 years ago today. Yeah. And I looked at this and I saw the picture and I thought, holy fuck, it literally seems a lifetime ago. And I see the picture of me and I look at the gym. I'm thinking, what was I doing then? I was doing training here and I was living here. I'm thinking, what the fuck? Like, where my head was at?
Right.
Different person. Night and day, different person.
Right.
Different fucking person. Different understanding. No tool, like raw tools. So much experience, but no funnel. It's literally like me taking the sun, which was all my experiences and my education, all that stuff, and then using a magnifying glass and then all of a sudden, guess what happens when you have that fucking fire beam? You can just burn something into fucking steel, right?
Right.
So then that was like the brand, that was the Swolenormous, and then just fucking doing it. Yep. And that's always been the standard. I mean, we talked after like the first 20 episodes before it got rebranded. So, I mean, it's always been the standard, no matter what gets done, no matter what ups and downs. There's always been a podcast every day. So just
when I look at my time hop, and it's so funny because I've been through iterations of brands and businesses. Well, what's so crazy is the common thread is even though it's evolved, my message has never changed. Like I still have paragraph long, stuff and 3, 4, 8, 10-minute videos or whatever that are popping up on all of my social, like, time hops and whatever they call them something different at each platform. But it's like, I've been saying the same thing for a decade since I've been doing any type of online publishing or, communication or whatever, which has essentially been, wake up and take control of today. I still have episodes. Like I have everything from Cup a Day marketing show to I used to have an hour and 15-minute commute 7 years ago. So I used to do a show every day because I put my phone on a mount and I would literally talk about like, I watched an episode, like episode 3 of our family vlog from like 6 years ago. And it was literally about taking control of your life and not, you know, like, and hey, if you're a young fit, like, and so I'm just like, so I've always had that because my truth has never changed. I don't have to keep up with lies. And I think that's what people are not realizing is like imagine, so it's almost like you grow up and you stop liking certain foods and you start, your palate matures, right? So it's like your mental palate has to mature too eventually, or will naturally mature because it's out of your control, really. So what's going to end up happening is you're going to look backwards and just be like, what was I on? You know, like, what was I doing? And what's so fun is like, even though I've made so many mistakes in business and life. I've effed up relationships. I've effed up businesses. I've also done a lot of good things. I have a lot of good relationships. I have a lot of, you know, good things I've done in business. But one thing that has never changed is I've never stopped caring about my truth. So there's a very, very, very common thing. Like if I were to splice together videos from like one video from each year from the last 10 years, honestly, that's a really good idea to do right now. Like in the next week or so, is like pull one video from each year of whatever I was doing, whatever mission I was on, whatever business I was doing, whatever, all that kind of stuff, and see how my message has either changed, aligned, calibrated, whatever, to really show that like, this is a choice. Like you have to choose to wake up every day and do your thing, and it's like, yeah, it may be get more exciting. Like back in the day, it was like, what was I posting that on YouTube or was I posting that on Facebook? Probably both.
Where?
Like all those old shows and shit. I was trying to think of like what platforms were existing back then, like for longer form video. I think it literally was just YouTube and Facebook. I don't think there was any other. Instagram had 15 they started with 10-second videos, then 15, then 60, which is another funny thing too about full circle from early in the conversation. Like Instagram was 10 and 15-second videos 5-6 years ago.
Well, it was Vine, and then so Vine was doing 6. Vine was doing 6 seconds. So then Instagram released videos for 15.
Yeah,
and then eventually they went to a minute, but it was 15. It was 15 seconds, and then they killed Vine with that.
Yep,
just destroyed Vine, and then they went to a minute, and then of course eventually went to the IG. There's just there's too many layers of Instagram. We can actually just pause here for a second. I need to piss. You want to get into some for Swole TV? You want to get into some bonus content, Q&As for members?
Yep.
All right. So for those of you that are watching on YouTube, for those of you that want to learn more, check out the links down below for access to the Swole Fam and Swole TV. And of course, if you want to check out KD's stuff, I'll put all the links in the description. You can check out all his things. Just look down below, Instagram, TikTok, all the stuff. We'll drop all the links. And we'll be back soon. Grunts.
We ride around this ghost. If we show up, then we still have it. Yeah, we slide around this coast. Yeah, we glowing up, but we still trapped sitting high up on the stone. When my foes out, got the world clapping. Yeah, we vibing up in this show. So your main girl in the private section. Yeah, we ride around this ghost. If we show up, then we still have it. Yeah, we slide around this coast. Yeah, we glowing up, but we still trapped sitting high up on the stone. But my foes out, got the world clapping. Yeah, we vibing up in this show. So your main girl in the private section. Yeah.